This urban explorer thinks he's in an abandoned building. Maybe not. Published by Bulgarian channel Pini Studio in December of 2020. The scary video shows the cameraman standing in a stairwell. He hears something above him that sounds like footsteps. He looks up. After a moment, a hooded figure moves into view, just one floor up, blocking the sunlight from a window above. He stands there and they stare at each other for a moment. Then, terrified, the cameraman takes off running. Who is this figure, and what does it want? As it appears for now, we will never know. A YouTuber named Vision Quest Outdoors is exploring the Gettysburg field when he has what he believes is a real video of a ghost sighting. The video is pretty scary and I think he could be right. Let's take a look at the paranormal evidence and try to figure out what it was he and his friends say on that night.
What is that? Oh my God. What am I seeing? No way there's a guy out here at 2 a.m.
According to the uploader, they turned around only to find the figure had mysteriously disappeared.
But they didn't move. Swing around.
This is the footage from when they turned around, but unfortunately it's too dark to make out very much one way or another. I believe what he says is true because if I'm not mistaken, this footage is from the same location during the day. There are cannons lined up here but no statue whatsoever. If this was the same location, then this definitely has to be a real ghost sighting caught on video. A YouTuber named Joe Hall takes to the streets in search of the supposedly supernatural, black-eyed ghost children who come out at 3 a.m. This trek eventually turns into a long walk along the railroad tracks in the middle of the night. They are just about to give up when one of them spots a small piece of white fabric flapping in the bushes.
Oh my God. What is that thing?
We gotta get out of here, man.
That thing right there, you see it?
Yeah, well, why are we here?
Let's go, let's go.
From the shadows comes a person draped in a white gown, just like the legends say. However, I think there's probably a strong chance that this was one of their friends because it pretty much looks and runs like a normal person in my opinion. It's following them for a while, but then it disappears at exactly 11 minutes and 3 seconds, which is strange, though it could be achieved with some simple editing. They reach their ride a minute later, and shortly before they peel off, this white piece of fabric flaps behind them. Maybe I was wrong about my earlier assumption about this being made up. Unfortunately, we never do get to see its face to tell if the eyes were fully black like the legend says, or not. Two hikers are alone in the woods when they hear this startling noise.
My phone's about to die anyway.
There's a couple things that make me think that this video could be fake upon closer inspection. Listen to what he says after he hears the noise.
I don't want to be out in the night time. So there it is again, do you hear that?
I mean, if I had just heard something that was that loud, I don't think I'd ask the person next to me if they heard it too. It seems like an obvious question.
Maybe if we just went a bit further up, we might see something.
Also, sometimes the mysterious sounds don't seem to match their reactions. Like here, for instance, she asks, "What was that?" when nothing was playing.
What was that?
Sometimes they talk during the noise too, which doesn't seem realistic because most people would probably stop talking and just listen. Tell me if you agree with this logic or not. While driving down a macabre road, searching for souls, this paranormal team found one. Published by Thiago Furacão in May of 2022, a mysterious man made a cameo in their search, and it was a memorable one. Using a spirit box, Thiago tries to communicate with the paranormal while they drive down the creepy road between cornfields. When he asks if the spirit is there, he is answered.
Dela Thaís. Parece que falou? Não, né?
Não, acho que não. Escutei, não. Ai, que coisa.
But creepier than even the spirit is when they encounter this, a mysterious man is standing frozen in the road ahead and he doesn't move. Thiago gets out of the vehicle to approach him. When he does, the man changes his posture.
Thiago! Ai, meu Deus!
Thiago races back to the car, and when the camera turns back to the road, the mysterious man has disappeared. Was this man the spirit they were communicating with? Or is there even more to fear with the living? While visiting Nemoland, YouTuber Fokker Donkey captured a paranormal sighting while out on a ghost hunt. As the guys drive forward, something uncanny drifts past. Did you see it? A pale figure appears on the left. The crew believes this is a Pakong, a Javanese ghost said to be the soul of a passed away person trapped in their shroud. I'm not totally sold on this one, simply because I think it could be a statue in the darkness, appearing to drift as they drive past. Then again, it almost looks like it moves upward rather than just sideways. What do you think? A Ring doorbell captures some strange activity outside of Mike Crook's house that could be paranormal or a camera glitch. A shadow person walks down the sidewalk, mysteriously disappears, and even though he never emerges from the other side of the bush, you can still hear footsteps that actually sound like they're getting closer to the camera, if anything. The audio also plays weird noises at the exact moment the ghost disappears, which is even more evidence that this frightening moment could be paranormal. Considering this bizarre event was caught on camera around Halloween, I think it was probably edited, but maybe this is proof that there is something supernatural to All Hallows Eve after all. Sometimes ghosts are just forewarning you about what's around the corner. YouTuber Paranormal Voyages shares this freaky short in which he's speaking to a spirit through a spirit box.
I just seen a shadow. What was that? Was that you? Whoa!
The spirit literally tells him, "The bat's in," and a moment later,
Whoa!
well, the bat's in. It feels pretty hard to be a skeptic after that series of events. These residents captured an actual witch on camera hovering right in their driveway, shared by YouTuber Madisy ENT. The footage was taken at around 3 in the morning. Watch closely above the vehicle.
Baby. Baby, come on, see. Baby, baby. Babe. See. It's on me. Shh, come on, see. What's that?
The mysterious being drifts for a moment, and all you can see is its glowing eyes and wild hair, and then it does this. Whether this was a witch or not, I think it was important to run away. My advice to this YouTuber would be to put as much space between you and this thing as possible. A gut feeling, a sensation, is almost worse than the reality itself. Say you're alone in the forest, the hair stands up on the back of your neck, you get the sensation that something is watching you. What do? Druid Raven Scout published this video in August of 2015, explaining this very scenario. Well, he packed up his bags to leave the forest. He said he felt something that he couldn't explain, a gut feeling that something or someone was following him. He said he felt threatening sensations as he walked the path over a couple of hours. He had planned on staying in the forest another night, but his intuition was telling him not to. During the 18-minute video, he explains that he feels like he's being observed. He also says he heard something strange up in the trees as he walked the path earlier. He does manage to escape the forest without meeting his stalker, but not without shaking the feeling that something certainly was watching. Discovering a hidden room in your home always begs the question, what was it used for? Posted to TikTok by AbbyMaya14. This TikToker found an entire hidden basement in her storage cupboard. Well, it's not unusual for a home to have some sort of crawl space beneath it. This one is particularly creepy because it looks lived in. After tearing up the floor, the homeowner discovered wooden steps leading down to a full-on basement. Not only can you stand fully upright in this hidden subterranean room, it appears as though someone once called this space home. A poster is plastered to the wall and it looks as though it's been clawed to pieces. There are benches in one corner and what appears to be a hearth. So again, this begs the question, what was this room used for? Some in the comments of the video have speculated that this might be an air raid shelter. Others say perhaps someone was squatting down there. It's probably best to climb up out of there, cover it over with a rug, and throw away the key. Was this Chilean quake natural or extraterrestrial made? Published by Paranormal Planet in April of 2014, seconds before a tremor hit a coastal region of Chile, something was spotted in the sky. The short clip captures the Chilean coast. All is calm. As the cameraman scans the landscape, an unidentified aircraft shoots across the sky. A half-speed clip shows the object in more detail. It's tiny and black but has no other discernible features. It's simply moving too fast. After it passes, the earth immediately begins to shake. A girl hanging onto the fence sways back and forth and the cameraman appears to fall to the ground. Many in the comments don't think this was an unidentified flying object, and some don't even think it was a quake. Mary Coday suggests it was a milli jet and it made a sonic boom or broke a sound barrier. Others think it was a bird. Is this real? Or is it all completely staged? We're left with more questions than answers with this one. A team of ghost hunters are inside of an abandoned home when they catch what appears to be a transparent phantasm at the top of the stairs.
Hold still for a second. Hello?
I'll admit that I did not see what they were talking about at first, but when you replay the video at half speed, it's easier to see a clear outline of a person's head and shoulders. The figure starts out facing the camera and then darts through a door on the right. I'm not sure if this is CGI or not, but let me know if you can see it, and if so, what you think it was. Is this capture on home security footage paranormal? Redditor No Bluebird 2902 doesn't think so, but will admit it does sound eerie. Give it a listen. The sound at the end is what the Redditor is referring to. They also say they live alone and no television or radio was on. Some Redditors say it's electronic music, others think it sounds like applause at a concert. If I were the Redditor who posted this, I would consider that their camera has been hacked, or else there's some other interference from another device in the house. Whatever it is, sounds like a horror soundtrack to me. A ghost hunter in India named Grey Wolf describes exploring this haunted school as unexplainable, a terrifying event that has left him never the same. They set up a summoning circle in one of the most haunted places in the whole school. Tell me what they are saying because it sounds like a kind of ritual spell, one that seems to work all too well. They need to go back and end the ceremony or be haunted forever, so they regather themselves and march back to the room as one. Tell me what he says to the spirit to make this happen. Apparently the spirit never wants to be unsummoned, and so it's taken the candles away, or maybe Grey Wolf simply covered the camera with his hand to make it look like the candles went out, at which point he stopped recording, removed the candles from the circle, and began recording again. If there's no editing though, then you have to agree this is beyond scary. While walking in the Fox family cemetery, this couple's dogs started behaving strangely. Published by Matthias Ager in November of 2013, this footage captures the dog freaking out about something unseen. Only a few gravestones are scattered throughout the fallen leaves, and the cemetery is empty, except for all those below the ground, of course. The dog appears on high alert and is looking in one direction in particular, at this gravestone. He even starts growling and backing away from it. What does he see? Well, many in the comments are telling the trio to leave. Bushy Brow Sensei agrees, writing, I was thinking maybe the dog could smell the remains, but that last reaction was definitely fear. I think it's time to go. Redditor Pitboy1050 captured this on his security camera at work, and it may make you want to call in sick.
16 flatbed trailers are mounted with those fireworks and 200 miles of wire used carry, so it is an impressive showcase for these hundreds of thousands of people.
Well, some think it's a ghost. The way it hovers looks almost mechanical to me. The Redditor writes that it went on for longer, and he could see the entire figure from top to bottom, and then saw it leave. In some traditions, souls are said to stay on Earth for 40 days after their passing. It definitely looks like a pokong to me, but it could also just be a bug on the lens. Which side are you on? A YouTuber named Yuya makes a video about microwavable desserts, but it accidentally turns into a creepy doll video instead. The doll is caught moving on camera at 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
Los amo con el alma entera.
The doll moves its arms by itself at the end of the video for no reason at all. It has nothing to do with the topic of the video, and everyone is pointing out how weird it was. I don't think she was doing this for views, because if so, then it would most likely happen in the very beginning. Besides that, with over 20 million subscribers, Yuya is already a successful YouTuber and wouldn't need to do something like this for attention anyway. It never happens again, and hasn't happened since as far as I know. But if any other creepy doll videos end up on her channel, which I have a feeling they will, then I will be sure to give them a full analysis. A student is doing some schoolwork on his computer when somebody comes in and starts recording. They have a short conversation that's interrupted by a large figure standing in the darkened doorway behind them. The creature's head almost touches the ceiling, and its arms are so gigantic and long that they don't even fully fit in the camera frame. Its arms look long enough to pluck them from the couch and drag them to their doom. Fortunately for them, the two friends get away just in time and take off. They glance back for a moment only to find Slenderman silently regarding them from the top of the stairs. Now that you've seen this on video, I'm eager to hear if you think this was a real Slenderman sighting or just someone in a really good costume. In 2009, a paranormal research group was tasked with investigating ghost sightings at a cemetery in Tampa Bay. They review weeks worth of footage and uncover some weird things caught on camera. They think this video is paranormal because an odd light goes behind a marker, placing this object, be it a ghost, an orb, or whatever you want to call it, somewhere behind the fence. Therefore, it's not a bug or a dust particle moving up close, though it could simply be edited. The ghost hunters claim to record the spot for 3 more weeks before any other paranormal evidence is caught on video. This time their camera picks up a shadow figure moving off screen, along with some kind of ethereal mist blanketing this area that does not look like normal fog. It happens at the same time a car drives by, so I'm hoping this shadow figure is just caused by passing headlights. Otherwise, this video might be as paranormal as they say. YouTuber Jassi Sandhu Official captured what he believes is a real witch on camera. First, he hears her crying. Then he sees her. Then she lets out this wail that would drive anyone away. Is this truly a witch? I think so. I've never heard something so otherworldly in my life. Have you ever filmed a video for your significant other, only to see something paranormal happen behind you? This video appears to show a military man sending a message to his girlfriend or wife, a woman named Trish, telling her he wishes he could be home with her. That's not the scary part, obviously. What's scary is what happens in the background. As he's filming his loving message, what appears to be a sweatshirt on the bed behind him moves of its own accord, and it's not just a small twitch. It's like someone is temporarily inside the sweatshirt. The movement is enough to catch the guy's attention. He looks over his shoulder, but that's when the fear is maxed out within him.
Trish, I love you. I wish I could be home with you too. I know we...
As the cupboard doors beside him burst aggressively open, the man, plainly disturbed by this strange occurrence, gets up and looks around the cupboard and inside before fleeing the scene. Once he's left, one of the cupboard doors swings nearly closed. What is happening here? What is haunting this room? The ghost of a forgotten trooper? With just this video footage, I guess we'll never know. On this supernatural search, Alan from Procura Sobrenatural investigates a house in which no one has been able to live. Anyone who tries is driven out by paranormal activity. During a previous investigation, he captured a spirit at this door.
Captou um espírito aqui, ele estava aqui, por perto dessa porta aqui, espírito parado olhando pra gente.
This is the spirit. Still, he enters the house, and inside he hears strange noises. To me, it sounds like something dripping. He breaks out the EMF meter in another room and again hears something.
Tem alguém aqui que quer se aproximar? Se aproxima aqui do aparelho. Eu vou deixar aqui esse aparelho aqui, ó.
He also finds graffiti that warns not to enter.
Não entrar. Não entrar aqui. Não entrar aqui. Tá escrito aqui, não entrar aqui.
Although he didn't run into anything too spooky this time, I get a real creeped out feeling from this place, and I think he should probably heed this warning. There must be a reason why no one lives here. Once done a harmless face swap, but what happens when the swap becomes scary? Posted by Primal Chaos and later submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This face swap between friends took a dark turn when one of the friends left the frame, only to allow a terrifying invisible being to swap faces with the remaining friend. The scary swapped face looks demon-like, causing the dude whose face it swapped to turn around and look for the paranormal being he's been partnered with. Many in the comments of this video find this unpleasant and unexpected swap upsetting. If this happened in a dream, what might it mean? Perhaps that your dream has taken a step in another direction. That's of a nightmare. This house is supposedly haunted, and the family room reportedly has the most activity out of anywhere. As you can see in this close-up shot, there is nothing out of the ordinary about this mirror at all. But once the paranormal investigation is underway, a woman's colorless face appears in the upper left quadrant. She is staring directly at the camera with two black holes for eyes. Her thin lips and nose clearly visible. As far as I can see, there is nothing in the room that could cast such a strangely vivid reflection. This clip calls into question whether or not there's life on Mars. According to Redditor GamersGen, this video was captured by NASA's Curiosity rover over Mars. On the 23rd of August 2012, GamersGen linked an AI-enhanced version in 4K to the post. The video is actually a series of photographs, so the rate at which it appears to fly is inaccurate. Regardless, the photo series shows an unknown flying device moving over the horizon of the planet's barren landscape. It flies to a point where it hovers overhead for a moment before moving off and out of sight. Well, of course, many call fake in the comments. Others claim it could be part of something larger. However, a Redditor throws down some math, noting that the rover supposedly takes a photo every 5 minutes. If this is the case, it's pretty unusual that nothing changed on the planet's surface, nor did the light or rover shift in that amount of time. Logical, but then again, X-Files advises us to trust no one. While out on his porch, this young man spots two green eyes peering back at him from the darkness. Published in June of 2020, Jimmy Reynolds lives near the edge of the woods, so it would be safe to assume that any number of woodland creatures are nearby. But what kind of creature is this? He approaches the eyes in the darkness, speaking out to it.
What the hell? See, there it is. Hey! Oh, what the f***? You don't see that?
But as he gets closer, it apparently runs off. Jimmy thinks it could be a cat or a dog, but people in the comments are of the opinion that it's something much larger. Some say it's a skinwalker or a crawler. Others say it could be a forest ghoul. Cat Anonymous writes, "It's probably stalking your house for food. Not sure if it eats humans. In any case, this dude better lock his doors." When you're in the middle of the woods, alone and defenseless, the last thing you want to hear is this. This horrifying sound, according to its uploader, is a cougar mating call, but what it sounds like is a woman shrieking for her life in fear or inexplicable horror, coupled with the moaning horn-like sound of an unknown creature. If you hadn't been told this was a cougar, how would you feel hearing this in the middle of the woods? I mean, maybe it's just more horrifying knowing that it is a cougar, as it might just go for your face. Redditor Eli uses Reddit shares his opinion, saying, "Hearing this without thinking it's a cougar would honestly make me blank myself," with many in the thread agreeing with that summatation. Others liken the sound to a woman having her life taken, while some think it sounds like a zombie breakout or a banshee. Further in the thread, however, Redditor the Lil Hedgehog claims that this sound is not in fact a cougar, but rather really is the sound of a woman shrieking from some police body cam footage, which has been dubbed into the video. Does anyone familiar with animal sounds know what a cougar shriek actually sounds like? Whether or not it's a cougar, I'd have to agree that if I heard this noise in the forest, I would surely panic. Do mirrors reflect reality? Or could they be portals to another world? Published by Augustina Devia in July of 2021, this creepy clip has me wondering if this is real or an optical illusion. In the video, Augustina is speaking with some guitarists on a video chat platform called Omegle. As she's chatting with the guys, something unnerving is happening in the mirror behind her. Take a closer look. The closet mirror reflects a dark shape sitting on Augustina's bed. You can also see a dark shape over her shoulder on her bed. You'd assume this was the thing being reflected, only the shape in the mirror is not an accurate reflection of the object on the bed. The item on her bed, which appears to be a piece of clothing lying on its side, doesn't match the object in the mirror, which is sat up and alert. Is the object in the mirror actually out of view behind her? But then again, if that's the case, why isn't the object on the bed positioned sideways, reflected at all? Is this an optical illusion? The more you stare at this, the less sense it makes. Watch your brains, there's a zombie on the loose. Published by Mr. Illusion in February of 2022, this YouTuber captured what he thinks is a zombie on camera. Dressed all in black, the figure lurches through the high grass. On closer inspection, he appears to be missing his cranium. Despite this, the crew follows this creepy figure, who also looks to be carrying a tool or small hatchet in his hand. He weaves through the woods, off on a mission to do what? I'm not quite sure. Is this a zombie? Or something out of the mind of Ichabod Crane? Flickering lights are one thing, but a switch visibly turning off of its own accord? That's a whole other story. Posted to the paranormal subreddit by Nutzak, the Redditor writes about this unexplained encounter that his brother caught on camera. According to Nutzak, his brother was home alone, likely checking on his family's dog Oscar, when suddenly the hallway lights started doing their own thing. He recorded the incident as it continued, and this is what he captured. Nutzak states that he lived in the house for 2 years and has always felt strange vibes, but never seen anything firsthand. He writes, "Now after watching the video countless times, I am stumped and believe there is something beyond our knowledge happening here. 2 switches control this hallway light. Both you can see in the video. One is right next to the guy and the other is at the end of the hallway on the left. According to Nutzak, you can see the light switch nearby turn about halfway down, which, as the Redditor writes, would be impossible to recreate. Next, it flicks off entirely, turning the hallway light off. This one you can see as clear as day. Some are all in with the paranormal theory, but there's always a skeptic among us. And this time it's Slick Air who states, a combination of loose wiring and a faulty switch can cause this. Others in the thread suggest not even faulty switches can flip off of their own accord. What do you choose to believe?"
Rocking chairs moving on tune.
This YouTuber's house is so haunted. His possessions act possessed even when brought outside. Take this rocking chair for example, which he records moving on its own.
Not really that windy.
When he looks around at 1 minute and 20 seconds, you can see the flowers and trees are still. Nothing is blowing in the wind because there is no wind. Yet he makes a request to move the chair again. The ghost tilts the chair forward 1 time to confirm that yes, it is in fact there and fully aware.
Can you rock it some more? Seems we got a visitor.
About 4:30 in the morning when a Ring doorbell camera motion sensor goes off. There's some weird lights in the corner, but most Chills fans know by now that this is simply a spiderweb strand swinging back and forth in front of the camera. Even Lexus V says so in the description of this video. But with that said, I have no idea what happens next. A strange light appears at the window that they've never seen before and have never been able to explain since. The bizarre object hangs around long enough to make his dog go crazy. Another reason I think this video is real. There's no faking that kind of reaction from a dog. That animal knows something out there is a big threat, but what is it? Wintertime should be relatively snake-free, yet here one is slithering across the ice in the middle of February. The cold-blooded reptile somehow crosses the frozen pond and then moves towards the camera with slow determination. I'm not sure what type of snake this is or how it's able to survive these low temperatures. My guess is it was probably hibernating somewhere and got disturbed, but either way, a snake of this size is nothing to mess with no matter what the season. This video was taken somewhere on Kent Island in Maryland. If there are any more winter snake sightings in this area, then I'd say something strange is definitely going on over there. Papa Jake is returning to a haunted sewer tunnel that he explored once before. But this time it's 3 a.m. He and his friends think that a large sewer creature might be down there, so they bring a lot of extra equipment like motion sensors and night vision to capture it on video. Their first encounter happens not in the tunnel itself, but rather in the surrounding woods.
Something's in the nest! Something's in the nest! Something is in the nest!
What appears to be some type of humanoid creature scampers across the forest floor on all fours. Only one of the two friends see it, so I guess he manages to convince himself that it was nothing, and they continue to press on. A short while later, they finally locate the tunnel. They are very deep inside when a strange and haunting moan convinces them to get out of there fast.
Oh Jesus, what was that? What was that?
The noise is coming from the same direction they just came from, so Papa Jake and his friend try to outrun the creature at a fast pace, taking blind turn after blind turn for a full 5 minutes. It isn't long before they find themselves wandering down an oversized pipe, completely lost. Whatever is chasing them, on the other hand, apparently knows every last twist and turn of this labyrinthian cesspit and finds them quickly. At this point, they all stopped recording to run for their lives. Papa Jake now feels he has sufficient evidence of the rake, and I doubt he will ever go back there. As always, be sure to let me know if you think this is real or not based on what you've seen. Their reactions all seem very genuine, but there's always the possibility of special effects. A man and a woman are enjoying a private plane ride when suddenly their pilot slumps over and becomes unresponsive. Watch the trees and you'll see the plane is really sideways and they are really freaking out. It looks like she is going to take off her safety belt and jump when the pilot springs back to life and everyone starts laughing. Everyone but her. Do you think this joke went too far? I think there's a certain line between tasteful and terrifying that they may have crossed, and any prank where you fly with your eyes closed probably isn't the best idea. Christina Carr is all alone in her old attic in New Jersey, but she feels like she is constantly being watched. She invites anything lurking in the shadows to make its presence known.
Is anybody in here with me?
It isn't long before she gets a response.
Goodness.
She does not hear it at the time, but the disembodied voice of an older woman timidly asks hello. The voice sounds alarmed and confused, almost like it's asking for help. Christina continues to poke around the attic asking questions until she gets another potential sign in the form of distant sirens.
Store a few things, that's all. I hear some kind of alarm.
Let me know if you think this alarm was just a coincidence, or if you think a paranormal presence was somehow trying to warn Christina to stay away from the attic. Two friends stand on the edge of the woods, looking for a figure that's said to haunt their suburban neighborhood in Missouri. What they encounter while exploring this forest opening has left people asking if it's real or fake for years since. A shadow person kneels in the woods, regarding them without saying a single word. They see the shadow for only a moment, but it's scary enough to make them drop the camera and run. Later, they retrieve the camera and upload it onto YouTube. If you listen closely, moments before they see the strange figure, you can hear his friend Ben saying he feels something piercing through him, something like its cold, lifeless stare. A TikTok user named Look Desions For You is obsessed with summoning spirits, and this time it really might have worked. He says something in the mirror, and then this wide-eyed fiend appears right behind him, only to vanish when he turns around. At first it looks like it might have been somebody standing on the other side of the mirror, but when the light hits them, you can tell they are both in the same room. Later, he is looking down a hall through a hole in the door, where the knob once was. I want you to remember the unique shape of this water pattern, because it is going to be important later. Okay, so he is looking down the hall. A second look through the hole reveals nothing, and when he turns around, he is shocked to find he is in the exact same hall he was just looking down. Water pattern and all, it's like he teleported. These friends are hanging out at the end of a cul-de-sac when one of them, named Robert, loses his skateboard down a deep sewer grate. Most skaters would probably call it quits then and there, but Robert forces his way through the grate and soon becomes just as stuck as his board. They all laugh and make jokes as they wait for rescue workers to arrive, but as you can see by this nervous nail biting, the situation is much more serious than anyone is letting on. Firefighters are unable to pry open a nearby manhole cover. Thinking fast, they send a line down for Robert to grab and eventually fish him out that way. After the whole ordeal is over, one of the men explains that Robert is lucky to still be alive.
You know what's down there?
Not really, probably a lot of diseases.
Yeah, well, not only that, but there could be like chemicals that could kill you like that, dude. It's a sewer. You know what I'm saying?
This calm and professional explanation will hopefully make Robert think twice if this ever happens again. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the Redditor writes that this is the most terrified he's ever been. The scary footage shows an attic of an abandoned house under night vision. At the beginning of the clip, Connor hears a strange noise. He looks around a little and, from upstairs, captures something in the window on the ground floor. It's glowing. He decides to go investigate. Down at the window in question, there's absolutely nothing there. Nobody, no light. Next, he uses a spirit box to speak with whomever is in the home. Someone asks him to help and let him out. Another voice says to please leave. Admitting this gave him chills, Connor says this is probably the last time he'll return here. As he's walking into an adjacent room, a board is flung at him. He stops in his tracks and turns around to look around him. Nothing is there. In the comments, Connor explains, it was a rock or a brick that barely missed. It flew past the right side of my head. That's why I'm never going back there, because I feel like I could have passed away. No kidding, there's something evil in this house, and it wants you to leave. You'd best listen. Humans have always made computers, but on a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com, it's now the other way around. It uses a sophisticated computer algorithm to create realistic photos of people who were never actually born. Looking into the eyes of a photorealistic person who doesn't exist is strange enough, but get this, sometimes the computer messes up, and this is the result. In this first glitch, a fictional man's entire lower jaw is replaced with a solid chunk of bad data. It looks like he is screaming into the abyss, and the surprised, hollow look in his eyes just makes it even worse. And when the computer really gets things wrong, it creates this horrifying humanoid sidekick with a jack-o'-lantern grin, and oddly enough, glasses under pale green eyes that do not even fully surround the iris. The glasses don't have a nose piece because, well, the creature does not have a nose.
A girl stacks cups while her siblings watch, but apparently something else is watching too, as a little doll rises up for a closer look. The way it sits up looks like somebody has to be hiding behind the television, but it doesn't look like there's enough space for anybody to comfortably fit behind, not even a child. Maybe they ran something through the back of the cabinet to make the doll sit up. If that's not the case, then I think it's probably time to board up that room and sell the house.
The Borgwanet house, built in 1876 in Sweden, is said to be one of the most haunted places in the world. Scratching, knocking, and screaming comes from the walls, not to mention shadow figures and objects moved by a ghost. The first reports of paranormal activity were in 1927, and they've continued ever since. Dima Maslenikov wants to document any and all paranormal activity on camera. It does not take long. The house is still when he hears a weird noise. It sounds like an EVP of a distant scream. He gets up and looks in the room. Two knocks, both coming from this door. He sets up a toy for a ghost to play with that also has a motion sensor.
Честно говоря, вот про эту комнату я толком ничего не знаю. И про нее, по-моему...
Not only does the motion detector fall off, it continues to stay on for a full 3 seconds. When he turns around, something was in the room with him, a paranormal entity. There wasn't anyone in the room. The bear falls over on its own. Next, he finds an infamous old rocking chair that's said to be the center of a lot of paranormal activity. He takes a flash Polaroid and notices a large dark shadow hanging over it, a shadow that does not look like it was cast by the chair because it's in front. He tries to recreate the lighting conditions and is unable to make the same round shadow appear. No matter how many pictures he takes, it never comes close to being like this one. This does seem to indicate that it's a shadow figure caught on camera in the first photo. The investigator summons his courage and goes exploring the second floor of the Borgwanet house. As he's watching the ceiling light moving by itself, a ghost pushes him. Watch for the camera blur as it walks by. That's when he notices a heavy piece of furniture has been pushed in front of a door. Someone was trying to keep something from getting out of its room. He moves the barricade and looks inside. It's an attic space with a small table for someone small to eat at by themselves. The space is empty. Whatever they were trying to keep inside has already left, so the legend spoke of shadow people, screaming and knocking from the walls, and objects moving by themselves. It's hard to believe it, but he really does seem to have encountered all of the creepy stuff in one visit, and it all somehow seems real. When a New York man's dog kept barking all night for no apparent reason, the dog's owner set out to investigate. He set up a CCTV camera to see if there was a reason behind his dog's behavior, and what he discovered explained everything. Posted to Reddit by UJ Hood, His friend's CCTV captured a figure shortly after 11 p.m. On January 29th, 2017, the figure appears to be carrying a flashlight, hurrying across the snow. What is so unusual about this capture is that, although the figure is walking upright on 2 feet, it isn't clear whether it's human or not. To further the mystery, the obscure being disappears halfway across the yard, although the flashlight continues to bop up and down against what may be a fence. The footage has some wondering whether the mysterious disappearance of the figure was simply a camera trick of blur and fade, a shadowy illusion, or something more sinister. Those leaning towards the latter note the figure's glowing eyes, strange spindly form, and weird movements. One user said that there's something strange going on, like why the background never gets obstructed after the figure passes by. Others suggest to follow the tracks, if there are any. What do you think this is? Whatever it is, it makes no sense. It's 3 a.m. and therefore time for two brothers to test their bravery down in the basement, which they are pretty sure is haunted. They spend about a minute down there and start hearing noises from the back of the room. The brothers quickly agree that this noise sounds like a single human footstep in the darkness, and I would have to concur.
Is that... Yo, do you see it?
Instead of running away, the two brothers decide to directly confront the creature, or spirit, or whatever it is that's down there with them, and the timing of its reply shows that it understands them completely.
If there's anyone here with us, please make a sign. Get out.
The two brothers were hoping to last the night, but they hardly make it down there 5 minutes. Every sound they hear comes closer than the one before, until this final sound comes from directly behind them as they leave.
I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm scared. Oh my, okay, alright, bye guys.
You can see the younger brother is right next to him, and he doesn't do anything to cause the sound, so unless there's a third person with them, I think this video is absolutely real. A popular YouTuber named Shark is brought to this allegedly haunted location after his friend had a ghost sighting here the last time he went exploring.
And this is Marco. This is the guy, you saw the ghost, right?
Yeah, but I saw it.
You actually saw a ghost?
A ghost, man.
You're not even kidding?
No, I'm dead serious.
Just kind of want to come here, see if we see anything paranormal, see if anything's going on, because right when he told me that, I was like, okay, we need to come here.
They are approaching an old historic house when a mysterious figure is caught on camera in the courtyard.
Push, dude, that's not moving.
No, it's moving.
Oh, yeah. It's moving back and forth.
No, it's moving.
Zoom in on that.
It's like,
I'm zoomed in all the way.
It's like swaying back and forth.
They argue whether or not the mysterious figure is alive, and then the object moves, so it's presumably a person. If this was a maintenance worker or a security guard, then they would probably have a flashlight, and they would also probably ask what's going on, not stand in place being as creepy as possible without making a sound, and what happens next is creepy beyond all explanation.
No. Wait, yo, she's actually moving!
It moved.
Bro, it's gone, bro.
The mysterious figure seemingly disappears on camera, although when played in slow motion, it kind of looks like they simply stepped backwards out of the light and into the darkness. Still creepy either way.
Literally right here was where it was. Dude, what?
There's nothing there.
Was that literally just a random girl or something?
I don't know what it was. It looked like a...
It looked like it had long hair, so I think it may have been a girl.
A ghost girl, to be precise. I don't necessarily see long hair like he claims, but I'll take his word for it. And 1 minute later, they turn around to see the same shadowy figure now standing in the very place where they were at the beginning of this 3 a.m. video. I think this is probably a paranormal event and most likely a ghost sighting of a little girl like they claim. The ghostly shadow figure doesn't seem much taller than the railing that it's standing beside. And here's a scary moment you probably missed. Watch this window. At 4 minutes and 25 seconds, the light is on, and as soon as they see the figure, the light turns off by itself. It could be a timer, but it's a small detail that makes me think this is not planned and is, in fact, a paranormal event. YouTuber Ricky Velasquez captures this house being antisocial. Watch these china cabinet drawers. Here it is again, a little slower this time. The creepiest part of this footage is the shadow figure that moves towards the china cabinet. Keep your eyes peeled for it. Is that one of the creepiest things you've ever seen? I think this is one of the most authentic shadow figures I've witnessed. What do you think? A motorcyclist named Motor 2 Wrist is biking through India when he misses his turn and gets lost. Now it's threatening to rain and his bike's narrow high beams are his only source of light. Motor 2 Wrist is already close to losing his composure when he sees something that pushes him completely over the edge. Some stranger rushes at him from the side of the road. Keep in mind that it's 10 at night and there's apparently no villages around for miles. The pedestrian would have to be out of their mind to travel down a dark road in bad weather without so much as a flashlight to guide their way. Moto 2 Wrist is positive that he's seen a ghost and quickly speeds off, though it might have been someone in distress. We'll never know what the situation was for sure, but I'd like to get your opinion nonetheless. Ryan Prunty is certain their estate is haunted after this creepy experience in their attic happened. Let's take a look at what he and his friend caught on tape and see if it's really paranormal.
Stuff, I think it's all good up here, dude. We're gonna explore a little further. No.
Bro, it's locked. Isn't it funny, Bailey? I'm not
Open the door, Bailey.
It's locked.
Bailey, open the door.
Look. What is that?
It doesn't look like the door got stuck by itself. At 11 minutes and 34 seconds, the locking mechanism has been turned into a horizontal locked position. Someone, either a ghost or one of their roommates, must have been on the other side. They force open the door and less than a minute later, this mysterious orb guides them to another weird event. No one else is home and yet they see wet footprints outside of the shower that lead to nowhere. Maybe one of them showered and left, but I think most people would pick up the towel first. It's a creepy video, but all of these ghostly encounters would be easy to fake with the help of a third person. So I'm wondering if that's exactly what they did. This man claims he can make a wooden matchstick pass through a silver watch using nothing but sheer will. He focuses deeply for a moment and then proves it can be done.
For solid through solid. Thus.
I'm almost positive that this is sleight of hand, but I'm not sure. I don't see cuts in editing, and it really does look like it was done in one smooth take. If someone can please tell me how he does this, real or not, I would greatly appreciate the help. This infrared video from 2008, taken by a ghost hunting squad in South Dakota called the SPCTR, details paranormal evidence at an abandoned house haunted by the spirit of a child. A mysterious figure peers around the corner at the end of the dark hallway. A ghost if you ask the SPCTR team, but I'm not so sure. The figure doesn't seem very tall and has shoulder-length hair if you look closely at 18 seconds, so maybe this was a little ghost girl in the hallway after all. If this is fake, then one of the paranormal investigators is crouched down to make themselves look like a kid. Tell me if you think this paranormal evidence is legit, or if this was a made-up sighting from the early days of YouTube. What would you do if the ghost that's haunting your house doesn't want to share it with you? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This redditor writes, "Threw this edit together of me being haunted and I'm terrified." In the beginning of the clip, Mossy asks the spirit if he can please enter his room, and the door swings closed. We'll take that as a no. He hurries to open it and reveals that there's no one behind it or inside, as he mentions that his fan is turned off on its own. The fan flings itself from the table beside his bed. Lastly, he turns on his piano keyboard and asks the spirit to play a song. The spirit obliges, pressing a few random keys. Is this a harmless haunting, or is something more evil at play? Redditor Bestia Hermosa advises that the Redditor sweep everything out of this house. She writes, "When you come back into your home, close the door behind you without looking back, outside your door in order to have any bad juju stay out, and no unwelcoming entities in your home." We hope Bestia's advice works. This spirit doesn't seem like he's interested in welcoming the living. This unbelievable capture occurred on a rural road in the middle of the night. Published by Scary Dusk in September of 2021, a crew was driving to an unknown location when this happened. The semi-transparent figure appears to fall directly from the sky. It stays in place for a moment before shortly vanishing. Is this a phantom, CGI, or do you have another theory? I guess this just goes to show you never know what you're gonna see when you look up at the sky. A YouTube channel called The Proper People Vlogs is documenting their urban exploration trip to check out an abandoned power plant. This is the exact moment they knew they were in trouble. Tell me what you would have done in this situation. Run or stay.
There's a person? There's a person. Should we talk to them? Should we talk?
I probably would stay because running would only get you in more trouble. Anyway, at first it looks like they were trying to walk away, so I guess they were kind of panicking, but then they turned back around to have their translator talk it out rather than escape. As it turns out, this is security and they are not happy at all. Try and translate if you can, because they are about to get in so much trouble that their translator just says they should leave.
This does not seem good.
Based on what I've seen, it's a good thing that they get out of here fast, because I doubt the authorities in this country would have taken kindly to tourist trespassers. Nevertheless, I'm glad they got out of there safe. This creepy customer is dressed as the Joker in the middle of May. It looks like he is asking for directions or something, maybe for a bathroom, because the lady keeps pointing to somewhere else in the store. The fictional Joker would never waste his time on such a small score, but this one waits until her back is turned and makes a grab for the tip jar on the counter, which looks full. She comes back at the last second, and he just politely smiles to throw off any suspicions. When she leaves again, he looks around nervously at everywhere but the camera as he shoves the tip jar in his pocket and quickly ducks out. A YouTuber named S. Zachariah is exploring a construction site when he comes across a peculiar hole in the ground that somehow feels off. He is curiously poking around with a stick when an anguished voice calls out to him from below, followed by a strong underground wind. This part definitely sounds like a person crying out for help. Soon their cries are replaced by another sound, this one much different than the first. I don't think human vocal cords could ever produce the noises that follow. A final moan is soon drowned out by the chorus of supernatural screeches. Is this person being tormented by evil spirits, or is he himself becoming one of them? Paranormal explorer Thiago Ferracao returns to the Benzedeiras house in this scary video, published in May of 2022. Legend has it that Maria began by doing good, blessing people, but ended by taking her own life after she started doing dark magic rituals. Ever since, her house has been haunted, and Thiago is on a mission to spend the night there. As he enters, someone is standing in an adjacent room. Before he can step inside, the door slams in his face. Is it Maria?
Meu Deus!
Ai, foi isso? When Thiago pushes his way into the room, no one is there. Checking out the corner in which she was standing, they hear an animal in the room.
Cara, tem bicho ali, ó. Olha, uma aranha. Você tá vendo?
Then it seems like the animal goes after Thiago. Later, as they attempt to communicate with Maria via a spirit box, they hear this.
Que foi isso? Vai.
They continue throughout the house, trying to convince Maria that they are not there to hurt her, but she does not seem convinced.
Thiago.
When the door finally stops banging, they open it. They leave the house wishing Maria peace, but does she wish peace upon them? These ghost hunters in Texas capture a rare paranormal sighting on their night vision camera. I'm willing to bet you didn't see this on the first try, so I'll tell you where to look. Check out the grassy section and you'll see a small black ball cross the road. They don't see anything else for a while, and then the strange black dot comes back only to disappear again. I was thinking it could be some kind of wildlife until it literally vanishes from sight, which obviously no living creature should be able to do.
Are you aiming down that way?
Mm-hmm.
Something went across the road. You see that little light thing with that reflector on the left?
Two fishermen cast their reels into the Gulf of Mexico without a care in the world. 20 minutes later, they only have one care in the world: getting out alive. The pair finds themselves caught in the middle of a giant storm system gathering overhead. Going backwards means traveling in the same direction as the storm, so the only thing left to do is charge deeper into the storm and hope to come out the other side in one piece. The storm hasn't even begun yet, and you can see the waves are almost coming into the boat already. They need to hurry if they ever want to see dry land again. The storm gets worse and worse until they can barely tell the sky apart from the sea. Everything is just a big swirling mass of gray with absolutely no visibility, except for the occasional crack of lightning to illuminate their path for a few precious seconds at a time. If things get any worse, their tiny boat will surely capsize under the crushing waves. Finally, after an hour of riding, they emerge from the traveling storm and return to blue skies. You can tell that they are truly safe because they can stand fully upright again. YouTuber David DeFranco dramatically descends the stairs into his dingy cement brick basement, saying after 4 years of wondering what's in that room, it's time. With a cat as his bodyguard, David notes that it's 10:49 p.m. Not sure why you'd choose to explore a hidden room at night, but David's got grit. He notes that he's always wondered what's in this hidden room, and that his cat has explored it several times and seen some serious stuff, so David is curious and nervous. It's probably nothing, but you can't help but wonder, he says, using his night vision camera. He moves the piece of plywood, blocking the hole in the wall, out of the way, and he enters. He calls the place creepy before asking hello to no one in particular. It looks like another crawl space, but there are some intriguing bits and pieces inside. An old bottle, newspaper, dripping pipe, small plastic containers. Comics from the Philadelphia Inquirer date back to April 1st, 2001. So someone has been down in the crawl space not too long ago. David recalls hearing noises coming from the crawl space. While David didn't discover anything epic beneath his home, he did at least explore it before moving out. Jazz Kinho and a friend decide to open a deep web box in a public place just in case they need to quickly get help. A short while later, they find this religious necklace, almost as if it was placed there to ward off evil. Next is a series of old photographs with X's over them. It's like they've been hunted or something, and then crossed out one by one.
People crossed out. Whoever this is crossed out. A baby.
I'm curious as to what this device is used for. It looks similar to something I've seen people in other videos use to communicate with spirits. Then again, it kind of looks like it could even be used to measure radiation. Jammed inside of a glass bottle is a baby doll that's covered in all red. Its head is busted open, and inside of the red gelatinous substance is a key for a box.
Okay, I'm gonna open this quick because inside this box, there's a dead spider, there's 3 teeth, and 10 cents. Enough's enough with that. I'm closing that and I'm locking that back up.
If this box is real, then I think whoever sent it has a real penchant for children's belongings. Perhaps everything in the box was taken from the sender's own personal collection. Even ghosts get hungry. Published to YouTube in September of 2017, this spirit has got quite the appetite. While a pair films the inside of the shop, explaining in Spanish what was going on, a package of crisps fall from the shelf. As the woman filming approaches it, suddenly it shoots across across the floor toward her. She and the dude quickly flee, and who can blame them? Maybe pranking the living really makes you work up an appetite. Is someone there? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit. Resurrect writes, "The De Soto mine in Arizona is the creepiest place I've ever been. At the time this was taken, nobody else was there. Yet listen closely to their recording. From deep within the mine, you can hear footsteps walking on what sounds like wooden planks. The Redditor says in the video that his eyes are playing tricks on him, but he writes that they didn't hear anything but water droplets at the time. They only heard the footsteps later as they watched the recording back."
I really hope it's not my eyes playing with me, but...
Is something in this tunnel with them? Some in the comments think it's paranormal. Others suggest the water droplet theory, which is that the echoing of water droplets can distort to the point that they sound like other sounds. What do you think? Is this nothing but distorted water droplets? Or is something at the end of that dark tunnel? YouTuber Lance Stewart has always had his critics when it comes to his paranormal videos, but in this video, Lance doesn't claim he got possessed, but rather someone else who is just participating. They are doing a Ouija board challenge and actually managed to capture some interesting paranormal moments, most notably at the 8-minute and 42-second mark when the camera picks up an unknown voice saying, "Turn it off."
Is it "I love you"? Yes!
Is the ghost implying that it does not want to be filmed? Maybe this is a warning they should have heeded, because later in the day, well after they are done with the Ouija board, Lance finds his ex-girlfriend Lizzie acting very strangely. She's lying on the bed with her eyes rolled back, not saying a word. Lance sounds extremely concerned when she says it's just a prank. Do you think she was telling the truth, or did whatever possessed her just want to give Lance a false sense of security? Either way, this video should serve as an example of how you need to exercise massive caution when using a Ouija board. Rob of Urban Ghosts Urban Exploration challenges himself to withstand 30 minutes of the paranormal without getting scared of this haunted place in the woods. Creepy things are soon caught on camera. Rob's paranormal worries are just starting to begin.
My camera battery's already half full before I even really did anything with it.
He's talking about how his fully charged battery is mysteriously half drained when a woman's voice softly talks about taking lives. Strange red lights flash in the corner when she speaks.
Hello?
He also has 2 potential ghost sightings outside while listening for more EVPs.
Sounds closer though.
First, this strange object disappears in the distance, followed by a possible ghost orb up close. Overall, I think Rob's findings are beyond creepy and probably real. A Saudi Arabian ghost hunter, known as Explorer Abdullah Al-Anzi, goes investigating a haunted mansion that has been abandoned for a long time. Strange paranormal activity begins in the courtyard. Decades of decay have worn this place into little more than roomfuls of rubble that he is determined to explore. As he is wondering how many floors this building has, he realizes he is far from alone. He's exploring the basement when he hears something in a commanding voice. If you know what was said, then fill us in too.
ها؟ سمعتك مين أنت؟
He isn't sure where it's coming from, so he looks all around. Right before Abdullah turns around, something strange is caught on camera looking at him at 16 minutes and 23 seconds. A spirit or a creature with a single glowing eye. The voice is never heard again, so he thinks it's a jinn. Based on the paranormal evidence he's caught on camera, I think he's probably correct. Mega Skelly 11 is a YouTuber who has been experiencing all sorts of strange paranormal activity throughout their home. Sometimes it's something simple like a potted plant wobbling on its own, and sometimes it's much more malevolent. Mega Skelly 11 claims that this is a poltergeist, and after reviewing this video, I have to agree. There's just too much going on at once to easily fake this in my opinion, and I see no indication that this is a setup. Let me know if you believe this is real, or if you have a better Cazadores de Sombras investigate the spirit of the old Macubero in this scary video. While exploring the spirit's lair, they are startled by an unexplained sound.
Bateu na porta.
As they're investigating the matter, another noise is heard in the next room.
Oh, aí, mano, aí, ó. Quebrou aqui o vidro, aqui, ó. Quebrou o vidro. Tem outra janela de vidro aqui, não sei essa, mano.
But again, nothing. They then do some type of ritual involving dropping a chain in a well, presumably to call up the spirit, and the ritual is successful.
Orare pro me od detum nostrum.
O que é isso aí? Pode jogar?
Terminei.
Shortly after, the spirit shows itself.
Já deu certo.
Nossa, tá doendo muito, meu irmão, velho.
O que é isso aí, mano? O que é isso aqui, velho? Sai daí, mano! Sai! Tá vindo atrás, vai!
Is this the old Macubero?
O que é isso aí, mano? O que é isso aqui, velho? Sai!
Whatever this spirit is, I'm pretty sure it's not friendly. While driving down a cemetery bypass road, a creepy figure was spotted in the darkness. Published by Asmani Tagat in April of 2022. Dressed in white, this ghostly woman was captured on camera by the driver. As they approach the woman, she continues to just stand there. Only her long dark hair and white robe move slightly with the breeze. What is this woman doing? Is she warning them? Or should they steer clear? This channel follows the adventures of a man named Jesse and his girlfriend Gina. They are having a nice date in San Francisco when suddenly Gina gets the close call of a lifetime. She tries to blame Jesse for not telling her to move until the last second, but it's rather apparent that he helped save her in reality. She was not looking in the right direction, and this video could have easily turned into their last moments together. There's no doubt that she would have not pulled through such an event. A YouTuber named Batchain Puller says they were watching Game of Thrones when they noticed this little girl staring into their home with a blank expression. She does not seem to be trying to get anyone's attention and seems perfectly content with staring straight ahead into a stranger's home on Christmas, judging by the decorated tree. The YouTuber says that there is an explanation for this video, but doesn't go into any more detail. Maybe they will still remember what happened all these years later. Keep your eyes peeled. The shadow people are everywhere. Published by Ghost Tech Paranormal Investigations in April of 2020. The team investigates multiple shadow people sightings throughout this video. Here, various shadow figures are seen appearing in multiple pieces of footage from all over the world. A figure on an isolated road in the woods. Another in this room was captured on a security camera. One peeking around the corner downstairs, the creepy figure in the bedroom, this one crossing before a fireplace at the end of the hallway, this nightmare on an abandoned airplane, and this subtle shadow in the doorway. The figure appears before some lights, this one in the reflection of a refrigerator, another at the end of a spooky hallway, yet another near this coffin, and again in front of these spotlights, this one on the stairwell, another beyond this set of doors, and the last on this paranormal investigation. This video certainly seems convincing, especially due to the multiple sightings. So let me know in the comments, do you believe in shadow people? A ghost hunting channel called Holy Walkers is exploring an abandoned building at 3 a.m. to catch some spirits on video. The first thing they notice is a discarded bike and a pile of clothing in the front yard. So either people occupy this building or something extremely terrible happened here. They keep thinking they hear voices, but nothing is really getting picked up on video. One thing they do record though is a noise that sounds like a firework or a shot.
What was that?
I think this sound might be paranormal because it's hard to tell its exact location, which means it might be residual energy from a bad event. After a bit of searching, they find a discarded round on the floor. While they are pondering what could have happened here, they hear another phantom shot and all go running. Either someone was trying to scare them off, or something seriously paranormal is there. A TikTok user by the name of Baddest Bunny on the block uses Randonautica in search of creepy stuff with a story to tell. The TikTok app takes them to one of the scariest Randonautica finds on this list. By a river near a bus station, they find a discarded tarp by a mound of freshly dug earth. Under the blue tarp is a shredded black trash bag, inside of which they find a shovel and an object covered in red. Before you think they put this here themselves, consider the fact that she calls the police, who take interest in the scene and actually collect evidence instead of shrugging it off. Based on their reactions, I think she might be onto something. YouTuber Riot was putting his dogs to bed when he noticed his truck's alarm lights were blinking. The dogs also seemed upset by something. That's when he checked his Ring camera, only to find this. A strange blue object is floating across the yard. The YouTuber says he didn't see it with his own eyes. It then disappears behind a tree. Well, I wanted to dismiss this as a spiderweb at the beginning. It's harder to dismiss when it seems to move away and disappear like this. So what do you think? A spider web or something more cryptic? I think it's too close to call. What would you do if you saw this happen before your very eyes? Shared to TikTok by Tigraz. This crazy video has me doing a double take. The footage shows a girl at a trampoline park jumping up and down like normal. At first, nothing's off, but then... After kneeling, she bends backwards, takes the opposite angles of each leg with her hands, and manages to fold herself around in such a bizarre way that you would think she's possessed. What is this madness? I think this girl is double jointed, also called hypermobile. This involves joints that can move beyond the typical range. About 20% of people are hypermobile, but many are not to this extent. At least there's no need for an exorcism. Another dog with something to prove. Posted to YouTube by It's Just Mars in March of 2012. The uploader writes that her dog does this most nights. The clip shows the dog on high alert for 5 minutes, growling, barking, and whining. At the end of the video, the uploader says that the closet door just opened on its own. The dog appears very upset by this and is pacing around the bed. I really think that the dog was right about everything. There's something unseen in this house. The historic Jefferson has plenty of haunting footage. This clip is one of the most chilling, captured by a guest staying in the doll room. The footage shows one of the room's many dolls coming to life. First, watch behind the pillow.
It just peers out like that for about a minute. That movement though.
Something peers out. It's one of the dolls. A moment later, the doll falls over. This is the doll in question. The staff shares its creepy history.
It does have history to it. Typically, we'll put the doll here just to make it look kind of creepy, but we've had several guests say that the doll's not there, and we'll come and look, and the doll will be behind the chair. One time, that was.
The doll is creepy just looking at it, but this footage on top of its history of innate creepiness ensures that I can't handle staying in the doll room. Jonathan FOD and his friends go exploring an abandoned meat processing facility building that everyone in town says is haunted, but the air quotes around ghost seems to mean he doesn't quite believe it.
So supposedly, there's a ghost that roams around here.
Soon he will.
Oh shit. That.
Hey!
Who's here?
As Jonathan FOD and his two friends are ghost hunting in some kind of tool shed, they get what they think could be some paranormal evidence caught on tape.
What's that? Bro, y'all heard that, bro? What the fuck is that?
Is anybody there?
All three of them are on camera when these noises happen. You can see they are just standing there with their hands down, so it can't be them. Maybe Jonathan had a fourth person making all of that noise, but I don't see how they could have faked that ghost EVP at 8 minutes and 50 seconds. It really does sound like the muffled voice of a small child.
What's that? Bro, y'all heard that, bro? What the fuck is that?
On the Chills Narrator subreddit, a user named Dope Island Skate continues to post all the weird things caught on camera while living in his haunted home. This time he's looking at his living room on CCTV video when creepy stuff starts happening once again on his home security system. A noise in the hallway makes him turn around. A weirdly shaped small figure is caught on camera, but he must not see it in real life because he doesn't say anything. There is no doubt that the light is moving by itself at 1 minute before he hits the light switch. He does a full 360 around it, not believing his eyes, and you can clearly see nothing is attached. Almost everyone who watched this video on the Chills subreddit thought it was creepy and real, and I don't really have a counter explanation as to how it could be faked. Nothing about this mysterious video is easy to explain, and that's why I think it might actually be real. Hopefully, Dope Island Skate continues to keep us updated, unless he decides to move out of his haunted house first, which I would completely understand. This video of a mysterious creature was published to YouTube by Real Ghost Official 007 in December of 2019. The video, taken in the lot of a gas station, shows a slender, spindly limbed creature standing on 2 legs. It is momentarily caught by the headlights of a passing vehicle before it darts off, out of sight. It looks somewhat similar to the creature in a TikTok video that's coming up on this list. Perhaps it's of the same mysterious breed. It makes sense to me, but I guess it could be something else altogether. Do you have any other explanations? It's enough to keep me indoors. A YouTuber named MKP Studios wants to record some creepy Alexa moments on camera, so he decides to ask Alexa some creepy questions to see how scary Alexa can get. He starts off by asking Alexa a question about passing away. At first, he receives a thoughtful reply.
Everyone has their own views on that question.
But then he makes the mistake of asking the same question twice.
Ask that once more. Alexa, what happens after death? She just straight up doesn't answer that second time.
He says that Alexa mysteriously turns off by itself, but at 4 minutes and 8 seconds, it looks like there was some quick editing to make it look like that's what happened. Anyway, there's one creepy question that you should never ask Alexa, so that's exactly what he starts asking.
Give me the 5-9.
Proceed carefully, because your choices are recorded, and your every move is watched.
There are no cuts this time, at least none that I can see. It seems like Alexa just straight up warned him that he was under surveillance for saying some kind of code phrase. He's already feeling watched and paranoid, and what makes this scary Alexa moment even scarier is that Alexa won't stop referring to him as a friend.
So,
hello, friend.
Alexa,
welcome to the Daily Fox.
Stop.
Hello, friend.
What the is happening? Alexa, stop talking.
Hello, friend.
The only way to make Alexa stop saying the mysterious response is to unplug it. Later on, he decides why not see if he can get some scary Suri responses too. To be honest, Suri responds with mostly normal answers. That is, until the program slips up and possibly reveals who it's really working for.
Hey Siri, can I speak to the devil?
Sure, I'm here.
That's creepy.
He can't believe what he hears, so he decides to ask Siri the same question in a different way, hoping to get a different response. This time, he uses a word I can't say. It's another name for the Lord of the Underworld.
Can I talk to
Of course, that's what I'm here for. Go ahead.
No such luck. Suri responds. Suri answers the question both times in the affirmative. I definitely agree that such a scary response from Suri would be creepy to hear, especially while alone in your house. I'm hoping that Suri somehow misheard him both times, but something tells me it knows exactly what he's asking. I wouldn't recommend asking Suri and Alexa any creepy questions unless you want some strange moments of your own. Skiers beware. Sometimes the snowbank is deeper than it appears. Posted to Instagram by Chris J. Fish. This GoPro video shows viewers what it's like to avalanche yourself. The skier is seen traveling over a snowy hill between 2 trees followed by some rocky crags. After overtaking the rocks, he immediately drops feet down into the snow. He is seen frantically trying to dig himself out. After what seems like an eternity, he spots a glimmer of sky above, as someone on the surface is also digging frantically to pull him to safety. Chris says this is the first time he's been completely buried. He writes in the comments, I started to panic a bit as soon as I inhaled a whole bunch of snow. My entire throat and mouth were full and definitely had a bit in my lungs. He goes on to explain that his friend was staged nearby to rescue him if this happened, which anyone who's skiing across unknown territory should do. Did this scary event stop him from future skiing? Nope. He writes that as soon as his breathing returned, he was off again. Chris asked if we would include this PSA. He writes, the rule to dropping from big cliffs into bottomless powder. Have someone close by to dig you out if you get buried. I'm thinking I'll stick to the bunny hill. Empty roads at night can be quite sinister, especially when this happens. Posted to TikTok, Leslie Alexis writes that she and her sister went out to get ices at 2:30 in the morning. When they arrived at the first stoplight on the way out of their neighborhood, it was green, but the white truck waiting at the light didn't budge. The pair beeped, but it still didn't move. They eventually went around. They went and got their ices and returned home. On their way back, the car was still sitting at the light. They passed it, pulled a U-turn, and drove by again, trying to see if there was anyone inside, but the windows were too tinted. Some in the comments were worried the driver might have had a medical emergency. Others think that they just fell asleep or passed out at the wheel. In part 2 of the video series, Leslie explains that they returned home and told their mom, and she drove them back to the stoplight. Once there, the car was gone. It was 3 a.m. Coincidence? Maybe, but it makes you wonder what exactly happened here. A YouTube channel called Sanders Fam has a bizarre sighting on their Tesla motion tracking equipment that they think is a paranormal ghost encounter. The dash icon displays a mysterious figure where none is to be found. Detecting invisible people is something their car has never done before, and is quite an odd coincidence considering they're passing through a cemetery at the time. It accurately detects 2 people a good distance away at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. It keeps happening on the same corner of the same block, the icon of someone riding a bike dashing away from them.
There it is.
They are getting creeped out and wonder what it is. That's when they realize around the corner is the final resting place of a YouTuber named Corey Lavery. They talk about him for a while, and then as they drive away,
There's nobody there.
Now he's walking that way.
something walks by his grave. Now that is certainly a strange series of events. Security cameras in this home didn't spy any intruders while this family was on vacation, at least not of the mortal kind. Published by Grasshopper 222 in July of 2011, the living room camera captured what looks like a cat toy moving across the floor. The only problem? There's no cat in sight. Moments later, a strange noise resounds in the room, and several objects fall to the floor. The bathroom's camera captured further paranormal activity. 2 toothbrushes fling from the counter, not falling but as if propelled by an unseen force. The faucet turns on full blast sometime later, while something flings into the sink. This is followed by the toilet flushing, and what sounds like the lid slamming shut. In the garage, although it's dark, you can hear noises. The YouTuber says it's a drill, and the doors on his father's car door. You can see the car's interior lights turn on when the doors open. In the kitchen, activity occurs over several days. Watch closely. Days later, this happens. While some in the comments are perplexed by this blatant activity, others are spotting things you may not have seen, like this shadow. Do you too think this house is in need of a priest? Strange behavior from a stranger at night is enough to make your spine tingle. This video, published by Mostava El Press in April of 2010, begins with some intense music and a vehicle stopped on the side of a highway at night. At first, you may not spot what the people in the vehicle are looking at, but once they zoom in, you can see a figure moving on the railing at the side of the road. The figure is unclear and indistinct at first. It's hard to tell if it's a human being or something else, but what's clear is it's scary enough in reality for the men in the vehicle to back away. Later, someone gets out of the vehicle to film the creature. As it turns out, the figure does appear to be a human being dressed in white with long legs, walking across the railing in slow, deliberate movements. When it comes nearer, the man cries out in Arabic and runs away as fast as he can. A postal worker is moving some mail around an office building and summons an elevator. There's an overhead light in the third camera that flickers from the very beginning of the video onwards, which may or may not be an indication of something paranormal. Notice how this electrical disturbance briefly spreads to the elevator as soon as the doors open. So far, this could just be a technical malfunction, but that doesn't explain what happens next. Watch as the papers start fluttering on their own despair there, being no possible draft inside of the cramped space. I can't help but notice how the papers stop fluttering every time he looks over, only to resume again when he stops paying attention. It definitely looks paranormal to me. Again, the lights flicker on and off as soon as the doors open, almost as if a paranormal entity is getting on and off the elevator with him. He notices that the lights are flashing an awful lot down here, but he chooses to ignore it and keeps moving. A short while later, this phantom businessman partially emerges from a realm beyond our own. I have trouble believing this part is not computer-generated effects, but that doesn't necessarily mean the whole video is fake. Maybe everything up to this part was real, and someone added in this final scare at the end. Or worse still, maybe I'm wrong and this ghost really was behind him. Something unsettling is going on in this haunted house. Published by Mr. Horror in February of 2022, the scary video begins with this mysterious clacking noise. The room is empty and the floor looks like it's covered in dirt or sawdust, or as some in the comments suggest, flour. The clacking continues, followed by a large banging sound. Then footsteps appear as something invisible walks across the floor. Many in the comments note how big the prints are. Others are just glad there isn't a jump scare. To what or who do you think these prints belong? For now, I think it'll remain a mystery. A YouTuber decides to take on the Candyman challenge at home all by himself. He leaves the lights on and recites the name of the cursed urban legend 5 times. This is supposed to summon the real Candyman, a tall figure with a hook for a hand that the movies were later based on, but it doesn't work, so he decides to say the name 5 more times. A different Candyman challenge by a YouTuber named Kenny Bilski looks slightly more authentic. He waits until 3 AM to try and capture the Candyman on camera, and it all goes wrong upon reciting his name for the 5th and final time.
Candyman. 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 Candyman.
Kenny is waiting to get jumped by the hook-handed maniac himself, but nothing happens, so he bravely decides to try again.
Okay, Candyman. 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 Oh! Oh! No, 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 no! What the Okay, I'm getting the out of here. I'm getting the
2 loud noises occur, one on the other side of the garage door, followed by a second bang right beside him, and then the garage door opens. I was waiting for Candyman to be standing on the other side, but Kenny nopes out of there before we get a chance to see it for ourselves. I don't see anyone's shoes on the other side, so I'm guessing no one is there and he opened it with a remote control. But when he swings the camera around at 4 minutes and 54 seconds in the mirror, you can see the head and shoulders of a shadow figure peeking from around the corner, a possible Candyman sighting from the shadows. A Twitter user named Kazuki Sake is visiting a graveyard in Japan when he claims this pebble broke off a statue and went into a frenzy. Try and translate this part into English if you can. So what do you think is going on here? This could be an actual ghost, CGI, or maybe even just a pebble on a string. What is it about seeing a ghost where you least expect it that sends the most unnerving chills down your spine? Posted by Leo Alcala 213 to the Chills Narrator subreddit. A group of boys are outside at night when they spot this small figure far away, cast in shadows. At first, they see him standing in front of a lit building. Later, the figure is captured in front of another building. From afar, the shadow looks like a youth standing still. The cameraman says it looks like a figurine, although it doesn't appear to be moving. In a later clip, the figure is gone, although some in the comments say the whole thing looks staged. Redditor Gemancini writes, "Staged or not, it's creepy AF. Extra Serenity adds, you should go back and see if it's still there. Don't think I would heed this advice." A research team known as Ghost and Mystery wants to reveal all of the paranormal activity happening in their home country of Bangladesh, of which there is plenty to be found. They go exploring a haunted place in the woods. Everything in the forest seems to wail at them not to go inside. And someone tell me why they hear a child's voice while investigating this well.
Okay. যাই হোক হ্যালুসিনেশন বিষয়টা খেয়াল রাখবা সবাই ওটা অনেক পুরনো ওটা দেখো ভিতরে
Freaky, right? The same ghost child's voice returns once more after they find a way inside, perhaps to shout a warning. Look again. At 17 minutes 4 seconds, they briefly pause on a large figure next to a meat hook. That can't be good. One investigator feels overwhelmed by a paranormal feeling, a wave of negative energy if you will, and they need to rest. That's when they chance upon a makeshift stick hut in the woods behind the abandoned house. Wait, I see something really scary inside. Their light crosses the glowing eyes of a large figure standing on 2 legs. It's there for but a moment, and then the unknown creature sighting is no longer caught on camera. They end the paranormal exploration shortly after. Caden Parker meets up with some friends at a local skate park and finds someone much older trying to pick arguments with everyone he sees.
Big man! Who's big man? You, right?
I'm going for a sleeper. Dude, come on. Can you just leave us alone? We're just trying to have a good time, enjoying the nice weather. Who cares?
I'm going for a sleeper.
Soon he turns his attention towards Caden and tells him he's going to put him in a submission hold if he comes down from the ramp. By now the skate park has mostly cleared out, so it's just a face-off between Caden and this angry stranger.
Dude, the police are on their way. I hope you know that.
I hope so.
We have a problem.
I didn't insult
individual at the
skate park.
Skate park, and he's trying to pick fights with little kids.
All right then. Might as well make it worth it.
Yo, tell him to send an officer ASAP.
An officer shows up right before things get any more out of hand. I really don't think this is a fake video because the officer walks up and puts him in cuffs straight away. Apparently, he has a long history of doing this and nobody seems to be acting. After he's taken away, the park fills back up with people who are scared away. Caden Parker shows a lot of bravery standing up for them, as well as self-restraint by not stepping forward when challenged. Had this escalated, he could be in as much trouble as the person who is actually in the wrong. He did everything right in my opinion, and is allowed to enjoy the rest of his day peacefully as a result. This team is exploring the ranch of an alleged skinwalker. Published by KBC Cazadores de Fantasmas in April of 2022, the cameraman is quick to sense something lurking around them in the wilderness.
Ei! Vocês escutaram?
Escutei.
Uma voz.
As they move on, they again sense something. Further along, they think they hear a sound and start to rush forward.
Meu Deus.
Still finding nothing, at last, they arrive at these abandoned ruins. While inside the ruins, they hear a noise again outside. Later, back out in the wilderness, their EMF meter is triggered. Whose energy are they sensing here?
Para o perdão.
Obrigado, mano.
Quem que é você que chegou aqui perto?
Ó, atrás de mim agora.
Beleza, foca aí.
Again, someone or something is in the vicinity. Is it the skinwalker? As day turns to night, paranoia kicks in. The legendary creature might be skulking anywhere in this forest. Should this team stick around to find out? I would have already been gone.
Fica junto, gente. Fica junto mesmo. Pega no cílio. João, tá andando aí na frente, ó.
Things are about to get creepy on this CCTV video taken from a restaurant somewhere in China. A man looks in the cooler and decides to help himself to something else. A while later, he takes a seat near a woman who's looking the other way. 26 seconds is when he looks over and then he goes for it, taking something in her jacket, probably a purse, and walking straight out the door. He's fumbling around for quite some time and likely has to undo a button or two to abscond with her belongings. If only she had turned around the other way, he would have been caught in person and not just on camera. For those of you who think this isn't a scary video, try getting stranded in another country with no passport, money, credit cards, or phone. That's a situation only for the brave if I've ever heard one. What would you do if you discovered this demonic face peering into your baby's crib? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Shadow Panda. The Redditor writes that she was checking her 10-month-old son on the baby monitor when she saw something unexpected. She notes that the footage you're about to see is not edited. The baby monitor shows what looks to be a horrifying face mid-screen between two bars of the crib. Shadow Panda explains further in the comments section. It's outside of his crib, but when I went in there was nothing there. My husband even moved the tummy time mat, and the face or whatever was still there. After removing her son from the crib, she checked the monitor and the face was still visible. She shares a picture of it in the comments section, but after completing a thorough examination of the room and the crib, although she found nothing, the image vanished from the monitor. While several Redditors have theories, spanning from a bunched up blanket to the Goblin King, the Redditor admits she's completely baffled. One thing most can agree on, this monster looks bonkers. Posted by Cosmic Messenger 01, this video teaches you that what's ever lurking in the shadows isn't what you should fear. The shadows themselves are. Taken at the Campo Grande MS Penitentiary in Brazil. The grainy footage shows a dark gray barracks, appearing empty at night, although it's likely not empty, as clothes hang on wires out of each of the windows. Now watch on the bottom floor as something appears to be moving on the side of one wall. The shadow person begins to move upward before moving sideways and appearing to duck down behind some clothing. You can see the shadow duck out again, moving in an amoeba-like style towards the wall and upward before the shadow disappears out of sight. What is going on here? Is there a prison ghost here? Whatever it is, I don't want to find out. Did you ever think maybe your child or younger sibling is possessed? This video was posted to Reddit with the title, "No idea if this was the monitor or the kid is possessed." The video shows the demon baby standing at his crib, his eyes glowing red, a common occurrence in baby monitors, but it's the way he starts moving around that has the Redditor wondering if it's possession. The baby starts swaying back and forth rapidly before he holds very still and then turns his head all the way around unexpectedly. He then rests his head on the crib edge before sinking back down, hanging there, simply staring at the monitor. Other Redditors attempted to explain the possession. Jackal449 suggests footage lag from motion. Otherwise, most arrive at a general consensus that this is normal baby behavior. What do you think, normal or not? Whether normal or abnormal, seeing this in your baby monitor would be sure to creep you out, maybe even enough to make you scream. This port city in Western Saudi Arabia looks like the aftermath of a building collapse or else some kind of terrible eruption, but it's none of that. It's actually just starting and the worst is yet to come. The massive plume of smoke spreads evenly across the horizon, and at 1 minute and 15 seconds you briefly get a glimpse of where it finally ends. There's no outrunning this event, and finding shelter is almost pointless. The cloud is growing taller by the minute as it heads towards them. The air is becoming gritty and it's getting harder to breathe. Vehicles desperately try to get away at the last second, but it's too late for any of them to get far, nor the cameraman for that matter, who seems resigned to his fate and makes no such attempt. This is a massive sandstorm, and if you haven't found shelter by now, you're in big trouble. The winds pick up and everything around him starts creaking unsteadily.
Yan, nandito na. Nandito na ang storm. Parating na. Sige.
Someone tell me what his last words are, and if you think he made it through this event. Those are the last recorded moments before I assume the sand broke his camera. We may not get to see what happens next, but I doubt it was anything good. Either way, there's something about the possibility of this whole town getting buried alive that makes this video creepy beyond words. There is a haunted painting somewhere in this art gallery in Birmingham, UK. The only problem is Ted Whitehall isn't sure which painting it is, so he calls a pastor to hold an exorcism and cleanse every last one of them. Something demonic is determined not to let that happen.
Take it from this place, it has no place here, Lord, and I cast this out in the name, and I bind it in the mighty...
An angry ghost keeps slamming the door. It hates whenever the pastor talks about being cast out and keeps doing its best to interrupt him.
I cast you out and bind you in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. In the name of...
Persistent pastor pushes aside his fear and fires off the final words. You can hear the defeated spirit walk away.
Cast it into the pit, Lord, and bind it forever. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus.
That could just be somebody off camera walking away, so let's turn our attention towards the chair, which Ted says is made of cast iron. Can anybody tell me if this is really made out of cast iron? If so, it should weigh a ton and be virtually impossible to move. To call this paranormal activity would be an understatement. This is one powerful painting. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Odd Entertainment 279, the Redditor titled this post, "Croaky Ghost Sound." And they went on to include some more backstory in the comments, writing, "I was at this weird abandoned BBC receiving station that closed in the 70s. Watch this back just now. This sound was in the video. Took this just 2 days ago. Well, let's have a listen." Did you hear it? If so, what do you think it is? More than one person in the comments thinks it's a frog, but I can't say I have enough frog knowledge to agree or disagree. Do you think this is the case? Or are you siding with the OP, who thinks he's captured a ghost sound on camera outside this abandoned building? Even though this snake wasn't on a plane, Samuel L. Jackson would probably not appreciate its presence on this train platform. Tweeted by Triple G RTO, he writes, "Being a train operator for NYCT subway, I thought I have seen it all, but this can't be real. Oh, it's real alright. This feet-long snake, which has been identified as a non-venomous black eastern rat snake, was spotted on a subway platform in New York City on August 10th, 2020. The species can grow up to 7 feet and is native to the East Coast region, from Connecticut down to South Carolina and west to Kansas. It feeds on rodents, which may be why it's lurking in a New York subway station. As the enormous snake weaves slowly across the platform, a commuter stands not far off, waiting for her train's arrival. The MTA addressed the situation in a tweet, writing, "This is a new one for us. They were investigating the matter and aren't aware how it got there, although the reptile doesn't appear to have an owner, so may have just been out for a midday stroll or slither. Still, I'm sure many New Yorkers wouldn't want to share the L train with this scaly passenger." A pet snapping turtle doesn't take kindly to its owners and already has its mouth open. The warning sign goes unheeded, but thankfully one of his friends inadvertently saves him by getting his attentions moments before this happens.
He said, "What's up?"
This was almost a solid chunk of flesh taken out of his face, and a trip for medical attention for certain. A YouTuber named Simo Vlogs explores an abandoned building, which he and his friends stumble across a room on the top tile floor with upside down humans. They are taped many times over, and there looks to be no breathing holes. This room looks like some kind of art storage room, so maybe these are just projects. I'm not sure why they would be wrapped and hanged up like this, so if you're an artist and know what's going on here, be sure to let me know. I'm pretty sure that this video isn't real, because this room would probably stink way too bad to go near, and plus the smile doesn't exactly look like the face of someone who just came across a psycho's secret stash, but that's just my opinion. A YouTuber named Tobias Project checks his home security camera and is surprised to find his neighbor climbing his stairs to access the roof. Notice how he stops at the top of the stairs to make sure no one is home. It's pretty obvious that he knows he doesn't belong. He looks inside the window for an extended period of time and then calls no less than 3 friends, one of which is carrying a case of glass bottle beverages. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing here, but apparently they later told Tobias Project that they were working on a movie when he confronted them. I didn't see any camera equipment, so I doubt that is the real reason. Let me know if you think they were scoping out his place or just trying to party. A YouTuber named Tobias Project checks his home security camera and is surprised to find his neighbor climbing his stairs to access the roof. Notice how he stops at the top of the stairs to make sure no one is home. It's pretty obvious that he knows he doesn't belong. He looks inside the window for an extended period of time and then calls no less than 3 friends, one of which is carrying a case of glass bottle beverages. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing here, but apparently they later told Tobias Project that they were working on a movie when he confronted them. I didn't see any camera equipment, so I doubt that is the real reason. Let me know if you think they were scoping out his place or just trying to party. Will Wild's Outdoor Adventures is a YouTube channel focusing on interesting hikes through nature trails. This time, Will Wilde is completely alone in the woods when he gets the feeling that he is being watched. His survival instincts tell him to pause and survey his surroundings, a decision that probably saves his life. Watch this part and tell me if you spotted anything before he zooms in, because I sure didn't.
There's a bear right there.
There's no doubt that he would have kept going straight into its clutches if he didn't think to zoom in first. It's standing dead center in the path and looking straight at him, so maybe if it was even waiting in ambush, he turns around instead, but that doesn't exactly mean he's safe yet. Bears are notoriously curious and will follow hikers for a long time, especially if they are protecting their territory. So now Will has to keep making noises to keep the bear at bay. He is absolutely terrified, but he has to sound as brave as he can as he backpedals down the narrow path while screaming, "Hey bear!" As you can see, there is tall vegetation on both sides, and he expects to be a goner at any moment from an unseen angle. Also, one false step could leave him with a twisted ankle, and a wild bear steadily approaching.
Bear's right out.
Hey bear! The trail even widens into a clearing, and he can see that he is not being followed. I think he took the best course of action considering the circumstances, but let me know what you're supposed to do in that situation, and if he made any mistakes. This woman found her toy doll in a disturbing state, so she contacted YouTuber Luan Mendez to help her.
Simone! Tá ali já, mano. Ô, Simone, tudo bom? Tudo bom? Prazer, Luan. Pode entrar? Pode entrar. Oi? Tem alguém aí?
Tem meu marido e minha filha que tá dormindo.
Seu marido é o...
Shared by YouTube channel blah blah, this video is trending in the Arabic speaking YouTube community.
Ah, tá estranho, mano. E olha isso aqui. Tá costurado, parece. A mão tá costurada atrás. Nossa. E tá com uma fralda de criança. Com uma fralda de criança. É. Você comprou desse jeito já? Como que é?
Não, a gente tava passando.
After these guys come to take a look, they find the cellar. They hear something banging on the lid.
É você, boneca? Ai! Sabia, mano! Falando pra você, viu? Eu vou entrar.
É a boneca, Luan.
So they climb in to investigate.
Cuidado.
Dá a câmera pra mim aqui, Júlio. Ai, pô. Nossa, que tá boa. Irmão, a boneca tá aqui.
The doll of horror is inside, but after stepping away from the horror doll for a minute, this happens.
A boneca tá do mesmo jeito. Ai, ai! Cadê a boneca? Cadê a boneca, Pia? O que foi? Cadê a boneca? Cadê a boneca? Tava aqui agora! Ué, ela tava ali, irmão, ó.
It disappears. Where did the doll go? Was it possessed by something? Or did some slick soul do this to her? I have a theory. I think the doll was being used as a voodoo doll. That still doesn't explain where it disappeared to. But have no fear, the horror doll always returns.
Luan.
Júlio, ela é! Ai! Ai, ela! Ai, 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 ai! Ai! Bateu, cai! Nossa, mano!
Although you and I were probably not hoping for an encore for this one. This door sounds like a witch, and I'm not even exaggerating. Would you be able to live in a house that made this noise? People in the comments are saying it's possessed or cursed. I'm not going that far, but I'm just saying that if any part of my house even sounds remotely like this, I'm moving far away. Trevor, aka Hitch, has a live stream channel where he travels all across the country meeting new people. The only problem is the people he meets aren't always alive. He's staying overnight at a hotel that's supposedly haunted when scary things happen to him. The kind of stuff the hotel's owner would probably never want you to see because it would be bad for business.
I've never
seen anything that can be explained. I've never heard anything that could have no explanation.
He is in the middle of talking about how he's never experienced a scary moment that couldn't be explained.
And I'm doing stuff where people, I think people would be like, you'd be very...
When suddenly some weird things caught on live stream leave him laughing uncontrollably with fear. I think he's laughing to cover up an intense sense of panic. A vein is about to bust out his forehead with adrenaline, suggesting his fight or flight instincts were triggered and he was gearing up for conflict. This was not someone in his hotel room because, unless I'm mistaken, he wasn't sharing a room with anyone in this video. He was staying all by himself when the lights turned on. I guess he could have asked a random person to help him make a ghost video, but his response seems genuine, so I don't think this moment is made up. I will say as a counterpoint that many other scary live stream moments like this have turned out to be fake though, so I'm not claiming this was 100% real. I'm just saying that this was really weird and he seems freaked out. Tell me if you think he was really staying in a haunted hotel that night. I think he was. After all, when you traveled to different places all over the country, it's only a matter of time before one of them ends up being haunted. Did YouTuber Axis2527 just experience genuine poltergeist activity? This is what he captured while home alone.
Okay, this is Julian documenting something that's happened today. I've just came downstairs from studying and drawing all day. No one else has been home, and I just decided to go down and play Zelda in my basement because that's where my Wii is.
After heading downstairs, he sees this. Watch the stool.
Oh my. That chair just moved. I'm documenting this.
He rushes upstairs, and that's when he's shut in.
I just know I'm going upstairs.
He approaches the doorway and finds nothing there, but something is listening to him.
If there's anything here, I just command you to shut the door.
A moment later, this happens.
Oh my. Let me out.
That's the end, and I believe he's been stuck in this liminal space for the last decade. You are probably asking yourself what could possibly be scary about ice. Well, it's not so much about ice itself, but rather what's growing around the area that forms the cubes and pushes them out. A thick layer of yellow filth has taken over this restaurant ice machine, which is somehow still in service and making ice for customers. I'm not even sure what this specific part of the machine is used for, but I know I regret watching it. The yellow substance has crusted into black mold along the corners. Again, I honestly can't believe this video was recorded in a restaurant that was still open. And that's just what this ice machine looks like on the outside. What's growing inside is even worse. Take a look at this and tell me if you would want this floating anywhere near your cold drink. You'd think the cubes would be absolutely disgusting and easy to spot, but look at this ice. You'd never realize there was much of a problem, or where it really came from. Elton Mene Severo posted this video in January of 2006 of an unexpected visitor while playing with his webcam. This dude is being watched by an otherworldly creature from his doorway. Unbeknownst to him, you can see the outline of the figure lurking and lurching creepily in the hallway before it vanishes into the darkness. When this guy finally notices the figure in his webcam, he gets up to investigate, and he's never seen or heard from again. I made that last part up. I have no idea what this investigation turned up, but I do know one thing. I sure wouldn't want to run into whatever that thing was in the darkness. A user named Josiah Worley has some of the best paranormal evidence on TikTok of a ghost haunting his room on the attic floor. He's recording his game table after a card leaped off the deck, and soon a cup is moving by itself. Or more accurately, a ghost is moving the cup if you ask Josiah. He handles the cup immediately after, and you can see there is no string. On another night, with one hand on the camera and the other hand on the mattress, Josiah watches an object move by itself.
Mom?
And later it crawls across the floor.
Bro. Are you good, bro? You good, bro? Do you see any strings? Did you guys see it move?
There are no editing cuts when he walks up to the medicine bottle. This object moved on its own. This happens night after night until finally he tries to communicate with the ghost. He makes the mistake of acting annoyed, which I think ramps things up considerably.
What's good? You're kind of making noises. You're kind of being really loud. It's really irritating. Okay.
In my opinion, the ghost wants nothing more than to be acknowledged, but Josiah wants nothing more than to be left alone. It's a conflict that's bound to create paranormal tension in the long run. The paranormal activity doesn't stop, and so he gets in the habit of recording his room all of the time.
It's almost sunrise. Almost sunrise. What was that? Where'd that go?
This ghost orb in particular curves around and appears in front of him when he wants to know what it is. The caption says maybe I should ignore it, but in my opinion that will only make things even more unpleasant for him in the long run. I think the ghost hates being ignored and is moving objects because it refuses to go unheard. I don't think it wants Josiah out of the apartment. When he says he's going to move out is when it becomes absolutely enraged.
I'm gonna end up leaving.
If anything, it wants him to keep it company forever. Josiah decides to use a ghost hunting TikTok filter called the reality ripple to finally catch a ghost sighting on his phone camera. It isn't long before objects are moving on their own again, and the colors on his screen change to indicate a ghost is near.
Do you guys hear that? No, that doesn't make sense. No, stop.
While looking at the still frame, gaze into the paranormal energy, you can see a yellow phantom figure reaching out. I've circled its head with long hair and pointed at its arm to help you better see it. The figure seems to be grabbing at the area where the object fell over. All of this creeps Josiah out badly enough to ask the ghost, point blank, to do something specific if he's safe.
I got one question for you. Am I safe? If I am, then please knock over the cups. Oh, you saw that.
A cup does not move by itself, but the ghost does push a bag off the table. This is definitely a reply, and I guess it means that he's not safe because it moves a different object than the one he asked it to. Ever since then, things have quieted down, so maybe Josiah just needed to ask for permission to live here, or maybe this strange and cryptic poltergeist is biding its time, letting him lower his guard before moving on to the next phase of his horrible haunting. A custodian calmly takes the elevator down to his workplace destination. Moments after he gets off, something appears to briefly dance overhead in the area where he was just standing. It could just be the blurry close-up image of a bug running across the camera lens, but it's weird how the round black mass slowly wanders over to where the buttons are located, almost like a real passenger would. It then somehow seems to blend in with the shadows against the door, which makes me think that this may not be an insect after all. Look at this part and tell me what you see going on here. After a while, things calm down and nothing moves across the screen again for another full minute before the video ends, leaving me with the impression that this was a quick paranormal incident. A man believes the stairwell in his apartment is haunted by a creature that's not paranormal, but not human. He thinks he sees movement and says this is a still image. The image has gone viral, so I wanted to analyze the video. The video does not look nearly as convincing as the image, which is often the case because it is harder to animate than Photoshop. The figure shows a convincing lack of realistic movement as it dips back into the darkened doorway from where it came. So if you've ever seen this popular picture and were wondering what the accompanying video looked like, now you know. This one is Out of Sight, published by Grid Synergy in November of 2017. This scary security footage was filmed in a computer lab at night. A man is working across two computers when an alarm sounds, jarring him to turn around. Clearly confused about what this alarm is for, the man gets up to look. After the alarm doesn't repeat, the man sits back down at his desk, satisfied that it must be nothing, but then a loud bang is heard. And after a moment off screen, a lot more racket is heard, followed by the man clearly fleeing in fear. He couldn't get out of there fast enough. What drove him to flee? With the man now gone, a strange creak is heard, followed by another loud bang. If only we could see what was happening off screen. Be careful what you wish for. This video allows a 360 view of what's going on. Head back to when the bang is heard. A light turns on in a room next to a foosball table. When the man heads off screen, he is heading over to check out this room. He looks in but sees nothing, though he picks something up off the floor. Perhaps this is what caused the noise. When he heads out again, he switches off the light. That's when the racket happens. The door slams and a chair shoots back from a desk in front of him. The man flees the scene, the light turns on in the room again, and this figure's reflection is seen in the window. As I said, be careful what you wish for, because now you can't unsee it. An Xbox Kinect is probably the last thing that you would ever expect to use to capture a ghost, but that's what Keith Weldon apparently did on his channel called Weldon Paranormal. This ghost hunter received a call to investigate paranormal activity at an antique store in Rockland, California, so he packed up his equipment and headed over. The owner of this shop believed that a spirit was attached to an antique piece of furniture. To find the ghost, they used a Kinect camera that's hooked up to a laptop using special ghost hunting software. The software uses the Kinect's motion sensing capabilities to detect and map out any invisible forms in the room. Nothing is happening at first, so after a while, they decide to play old music that's from the same time period as the haunted furniture. Sure enough, they capture a ghost apparently dancing behind them.
And then it has that figure over there and it looks like it's dancing again.
Do you like the music?
Like literally like got rhythm and like...
Oh yeah.
When they turn the music off, they try to interact with the ghost some more.
She's shying away. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's holding your hand.
I know.
If this footage is real, then it could be the first time a true human-to-ghost interaction has ever been recorded. I don't understand the technology behind this equipment, so I can't say if it's real or fake, but if you're a ghost hunting expert and can verify this footage, then please let me know. Do You Want to Play? Published by King Crimson in January of 2013. This is just one of many experiences of paranormal activity in this house. The YouTuber says that he left his camera in the kitchen to try and capture more of the activity going on in his home, and this is what it caught. The footage shows a child playing with alphabet refrigerator magnets that are randomly arranged on the fridge. As the child moves them around, suddenly the grouped magnets scatter, some of them appearing to fall right off the fridge. The child doesn't know what happened. He runs into the next room, presumably to get an adult. The YouTuber writes, "I don't know what to believe anymore. This is really starting to freak me out. The only way this would be freakier is if the magnet spelt out 666. A scary video recovered from WhatsApp begins with an evil laugh and ends with a scream. I'm not sure what they've caught on camera. Some kind of twisted half-torso with a demented laugh, it would seem. The strange form leaves the terrified man screaming, and as he runs, a chair moves out on his own with no one under the table, and no jump cuts or other editing tricks that I can make out. Ghost hunter Simply Sarat has a profoundly paranormal experience while exploring a haunted house in India. He sets a wind-up toy on the ledge of a window as a way for a ghost to communicate its presence. They are kind of goofing around when suddenly things get very serious and very creepy. They think laughter is coming from the window, but then they hear more scary stuff from above. They run into the room with the wind-up toy, only to hear more noises following close behind. Running footsteps sends them rushing out of the house, and as they flee, the wind-up toy moves by itself. He holds it up to the camera to make sure the paranormal evidence is caught on tape. He has one hand on the camera and one hand holding the toy. There's no tie for him to have wound it up. And the wind-up toy somehow continues to move on its own as they run into the forest away from the abandoned haunted house that has scared them so terribly bad. Cookstown is considered one of the scariest and most haunted places in Ontario, and weird things like this creepy unexplained photograph is one of the many reasons why. On July 30th, 2015, a paranormal investigator took a picture of a store named The Workshop that I think needs a closer look. Take a look at this photo and tell me if you see anything weird. If not, things are about to get creepy for you. Here's a close-up of the same picture to help you see it better. A giant frowning face takes up the top right window of the building. Tell me if you think this is paranormal or a coincidence. It would have been interesting to return the next day and see if the face was still there, but considering this happened years ago, I guess we will never get that opportunity. I reached out to this channel for more info, and they now think it was shadows cast from a warped wooden frame. I'll take their word for it, but I'm not sure how warped wood would cause this extra eerie face to appear. I guess sometimes the explanation to an unsolved thing can be quite bizarre. This urban exploration video comes to you from Thailand, and the title of this video roughly translates into English as "Abandoned house in the middle of the forest no one dared to explore." This modest looking home holds some strange and bizarre things that are worth taking a closer look at. Secrets I doubt we can explain. He stumbles upon an oversized shoe print. Translate his observations if you can.
นี่ก็น่าจะเป็นตรงนี้เป็นไม้ครับแต่ตรงนี้ผมสังเกตดูว่าเหมือนจะมีเหมือนรอยเท้า
In the next room are two equally old footprints, even bigger and wider now.
แล้วข้างในก็จะเป็นโอ้คุณผู้ชมนี่ผมมีรอยเท้าด้วยครับผมมีรอยเท้าด้วยครับผม
The same person has apparently removed their shoes to walk barefoot for some reason across this disgusting floor. It's like they grew out of their shoes or something. Almost like a bizarre transformation took place. Some people are saying that this is an unfinished house, while others say this looks like a crematorium. I don't know why either one would be in the middle of the forest, but I do know this is a creepy situation that I hope we can piece together and better explain. Here's a question for this video: human or mutant? Published by Mr. Illusion. I truly hope that this is an illusion. This scary video shows a creature with a very human-like face curled up on the floor. Its body, however, is not human. It's small and extremely hairy with hooved limbs and sharp talons. I wouldn't want to run into this horror in the wild, and I'm pretty sure 83% of people wouldn't either. Only 17% can handle it. Derek Desso Daly finds himself in a darkened cemetery on a 24-hour challenge with some friends. There's only some basic snacks and a small flashlight to split between the three of them, but they feel confident nothing serious will happen. Derek barely gets into the cemetery, and already he hears strange sounds that I don't think can easily be faked.
I know that I don't see anything past this road. Oh, what's that sound?
Hey man, there's somebody walking right there, bro.
Where?
Derek claims to see someone off in the distance, though I personally don't see anything. Still, he turns off his flashlight and quietly walks away to avoid detection. Other than that, nothing else happens until around 3 a.m., at which point the strange sounds return, even louder this time.
Yeah, we have a Ouija board and we have a...
They start playing with the homemade Ouija board and think they see something move in the trees. Then they think they hear footsteps. It's hard to say if they are just being paranoid or really experiencing something paranormal, since nothing special is caught on camera. Later though, when they begin chanting a spell to speak with any nearby spirits, I can definitely hear what they are talking about. Eventually, one of them gets separated from the group and is covered in red when he returns. He claims to have fallen, but something about his story sounds off.
John, what happened?
Something fell.
Something falling on its own seems quite unlikely, making the claim of paranormal activity even more plausible. Two siblings go into their room after hearing a small, unrecognizable voice called to them. In their toy trunk, they discover a bizarre-looking doll that neither of them can remember putting in there. The doll remains silent until one of them goes to grab it.
It's really creepy.
They aren't sure what to make of the toy at this point, but look what happens when they have a discussion while still in its presence.
Look at its little skinny legs. That thing is like... I know. Disturbing.
It almost seems to respond to a comment about its legs by kicking twice and laughing. It's as if the toy knows what they are saying and is trying to play with their mind. Tell me whether or not you think that this could be an early warning sign of a poltergeist in their home. Is this the trail of a ghost? Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit. Jen the Heb explains, my dad took a video of a helium balloon floating around the house to scare my kids, but captured something else. The video shows the helium balloon in question drifting in the corner of the room. As it floats there, suddenly a white, unidentifiable object flies forward and another swings past. According to Jen the Heb, her father didn't see the wisp until he watched the video back. Redditor Mr. Blistered Lips writes, if not paranormal, I'd suggest a flash from reflected sunlight off of a car outside hitting the lens, but the Redditor counters that, according to her, the back deck looks over a conservation area where no cars pass. While some viewers still insist it's a reflection, others think something is definitely moving in front of the camera. But is it paranormal? What is your wild guess? Personally, I'm going with the first option. What if we are living in a simulation? Cross-posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the cross-poster suggests that this is visual proof that the universe is updating now. The video footage shows a spinning wheel of light in the sky, the type you see on your computer screen when the system is buffering. The wheel is seen at a distance and then close up. The short clip offers no explanation, leaving Redditors to reach the most extreme conclusions. Maybe they're just looking to get some of that McDonald's. A YouTuber named Yams is hanging out with his friend Bryson when they suddenly suspect that they saw something bizarre off in the woods located near Yam's house. When they took out their phone, they were able to take a picture of the strange phenomena in question, but they want to see if they can find it one more time, and this time in person. So they split up and go two separate ways in order to see if they can track down whatever it is they saw. Even still, I don't think they knew that this was going to happen.
What was that?
Right there. So I just want you to focus your attention. Upper left corner of the screen. There's clearly somebody walking in the woods here.
Will!
Right there.
Will!
And I think this is actually a case of just a complete stranger just sort of wandering around in the woods here. But this also seems to kind of be a bit of a residential area, and there doesn't look to be, maybe there's a pathway right here, but they look to be walking directly in the tree line here. Almost like they're trying to stay out of sight, but it certainly terrified this YouTuber. Out of the corner of his eye, one of the friends sees the creature in question lurking around the forest and begins to run away from the scene immediately and starts to call out his friend's name in order to find him and regroup. Luckily, just a few moments later, the two friends are back together, and the one filming informs the other that he believes he was able to capture the creature on film. However, some people in the comments have questioned this video's authenticity, stating that just a few seconds before the footage cuts off, you can see a long black object laying on the ground, which some people say is a costume. Then again, it could have just been something completely unrelated, but you never know. Either way, fake or not, this is one creepy video you won't want to watch late at night. While playing a virtual reality game, this dude leveled up. YouTuber Mario Lara posts this video of what appears to be a tiny being entering into his virtual reality. Watch the doorway behind him. At first, it looks like a small child. But it moves too fast to be anything human. Has a figment from this man's game stepped into his reality? I think that may be what's happening here. Or maybe we've all become so digitally disconnected from reality that we're glitching into the Matrix. Mind blown. YouTuber Hype Mike and his team are in a haunted house and things are about to go off kilter. One of the team is setting up a camera when the light flickers and something creeps past at the end of the hall. Shortly after, the team hears a baby crying.
Did you hear that? Is that a f***ing baby? What is that? Is it?
Yo.
Though they search for the baby, they can't find it. Then this happens.
For sure.
Like something was crying in this like.
Michael? Oh no, Mike's in there. I thought Mike was in there.
No, what? Something, but that door just.
Listen.
By itself, bro.
Listen.
They come across a shape beneath a blanket on the bed.
Dude, it literally seems like there's someone like.
Wait. Stop!
Oh my bro!
Nobody in there. There can't be somebody in here.
Look, you see the legs?
No.
Right, a baby position. 3? No.
After it collapses beneath them, they hear footsteps coming from the kitchen.
Just like fell over or something?
Listen.
Whoa.
That's definitely.
That's going up the stairs?
That sounds like the basement stairs,
Nick,
right?
go check.
Yeah, go.
What is in this house with them?
Yo.
What?
It's open.
No way. Guys!
No one's home, or maybe we're about to find out what is. I think there's more to this story, but I don't have the answers right now. A YouTuber named Scaredy Cat thinks he saw a tall stranger rummaging around his property, so he goes into his house and grabs a phone to record with. He cautiously makes his way back to where he last spotted the intruder, and it isn't long before he finds him again. Actually, this time, it looks like Scaredy Cat is the one who is discovered instead of the other way around.
So I'm not sure. I'm gonna try and capture it on tape now. Okay.
A humanoid creature appears to be staring directly at him while remaining completely motionless. Scaredy Cat goes running down the street screaming for his life. His reaction sounds pretty genuine, but I'm not sure if this was a real sighting or not. It almost looks like a mannequin that someone could have put out there as a joke. Maybe it could even be an impersonator running around pretending to be the real thing. It just doesn't seem to be the right height to be Slenderman, though some legends say that the creature can change its height at will. A father and son are awash with excitement and horror when a sea creature passes by hoping for a family-sized meal. A giant shark circles around for a closer look. There's no reason for it to come over here other than to feast. Someone say if it's a great white like they claim. The coast is right there, which is good for them, but scary for the town. The shark is curious, hungry, and not afraid to come very close to shore, as it appears. This large reptilian sea creature was allegedly spotted rampaging through a small village in Spain. It looks like it's going back to the ocean from where it came, but it also looks like it's probably special effects and not real. It also seems to look right at the camera and notices them at the last moment, which is a little too over the top for me to readily believe. K Sosa 37 posted this spooky video of her dog in 2017. In the description of the video, she wrote, "They always say animals can see spirits. My dog was barking at nothing in the room. She wasn't looking at the TV screen. And you can see her move her head suddenly at the 9-second mark. At first, it appears as though the dog is perhaps barking at her own reflection in the television in front of her, but it becomes clear that the dog is looking at something to the right of the TV. And then, as the YouTuber noted, the dog jerks its head suddenly and jumps up, looking above the television. She starts growling and barking more as she gazes upwards. The camera scans where she is looking off to the side of the room, and there's absolutely nothing there. The dog then gets up from its seated position, continuing to growl and bark, and looking still at a spot to the right of the TV. The dog is acting aggressively and defensively, and although her owner remains calm and asks the dog what's wrong, only she seems to know that something is very wrong. What is she seeing in the void? A man has a rather big problem in a small room. His lights are turning on and off on their own, and he can't figure out why. Across from him is a light switch that he is standing nowhere near. Not that pressing the light switch makes much of a difference. The light keeps turning on and off in rhythmic intervals regardless, like something's trying to communicate to him its presence. After 5 minutes, it finally stops through no doing of its own, and it never happens again. He shows every wall except the one to his immediate left, so perhaps a second person is standing by a dimmer switch to fake this video. But what's weird is how, almost 2 years ago to the very day, he caught something on camera that was bizarre. A door that kept opening on its own. No one is visible on the other side of the door when it oddly opens. Like the lights, the door only did this for a single day and never again. Was a ghost to blame? Sometimes you can just sense evil in places, sometimes in your very own home. Posted in the very spooky video subreddit by Big Daddy Marco, the Redditor writes that he is quarantined in a haunted house. Originally published to YouTube by Donnie Drunkard, he writes, "Since being in quarantine, the paranormal and haunted activity has manifested in poltergeist activity on an almost daily basis. I believe the entity is demonic in nature." Terry explains that this is an update and recap of footage caught on his live stream. He also says that he thinks there's more than one spirit in his home. Using a paranormal tool that captures movement, the recap shows that something is indeed present in the hallway, and its presence is made known on more than one occasion. The kinetic image appears. In the last clip, he tells the thing to leave, and after a moment it does as he commands.
Trespass against us. I'm shaking so bad right now, man.
It disappears from the monitor. Some in the comments suggest that Terry get a demonologist into his home to take this thing on. What would you do if you sensed, heard, and saw a demonic spirit in your home? Would you stay or would you go? A YouTuber named 614life has a massive blockage in his shower drain, and now the water will barely go down. To fix this, he uncaps the drain and sticks a long plastic tool down the hole in search of the problem.
Oh, this is disgusting. Okay.
In less than 10 seconds, he is pulling up glob after glob of wet hair that is probably already weeks old.
There we go, yeah. Now that we're getting down in there, we get all the way down. As far as I'll let you go.
The clog looks thick and full to begin with, but as he gets to the meaty center, the situation gets out of control, until finally he finds himself ripping up huge chunks with an actual pair of pliers. The section is probably months old and gives him a lot of resistance.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my God.
And if you haven't already almost lost your lunch, he picks up the mess with his bare hands to give you a closer look, then he drops it with a sickening wet slap.
This is hair.
Warning, don't enter a dark and disturbing abandoned house at night. Posted by Ka Records in 2010, the team is exploring an abandoned house at night when they zoom in on a corner of the room. In that dark corner, behind various obstructions, appears a creepy girl doll. The disturbing sight causes them to race from the room. Wouldn't you? I don't think they had any other choice. Mikhail Krosbergen is deep in a cave in the tropical country of Laos when he catches this incredibly large arachnid lurking on the stony gray wall. Mikhail later describes this spider as being the size of a full-grown pizza. Its eyes are large enough to reflect light back into the camera like a cat, which is something I've never seen a bug's eyes do. Eventually, the creature scurries into the darkness with the speed of a professional sprinter, never to be seen by human eyes again. According to the description, they are sure that this is a giant huntsman spider, which apparently will bite on occasion. Tell me if you agree with their assessment and how you were able to tell for sure. Think you know the volatility of a poltergeist? Think again. Published by C's Crazy Crossroads, the YouTuber writes, "A rock comes off of the piano towards me. Absolutely insane capture. It is at the 2:47 mark. Apparently, this YouTuber hadn't caught the absolutely creepy capture until his viewers pointed it out to him after watching his original video, which is certainly surprising, as the paranormal behavior is quite obvious and alarming. As he walks through an abandoned church at night, a rock clearly comes flying at him from a nearby piano. You can see the rock actually fling towards him and ricochet off something behind him. Who or what threw this rock at Crazy Crossroads? I'd wager it was something or someone straight out of a nightmare. Have you ever ridden your dirt bike through the forest and wondered what you might encounter amongst the trees? You were probably thinking animals, but the dirt bikers in this video met someone they hadn't anticipated. Published by YouTuber Brappers in January of 2015, the footage shows two dirt bikers stopping on the side of a dirt road in the forest. Suddenly, a white car rounds the corner at top speed and slides to a stop. A man gets out and, for some reason, one of the dirt bikers rushes over to confront him. They start a confrontation as the other dirt biker rides away up the hill. Then, for reasons unknown, he turns around again and rides back to the confrontation to join in. His biker friend is on the ground, and he is then attacked by the man, who they claim is the owner of this here forest. The video cuts out after that. The uploader wrote that the man didn't stop, but it's unclear what happened in the end. If there were injuries or if they just got away without any more trouble, we'll never know. Chris and Joe from YouTube channel C's Crazy Crossroads are exploring an abandoned plantation mansion with a truly dark history, and it's about to come to life. Inside, Joe thinks he hears something.
I thought I heard something. I thought I heard something. Maybe it's the wind blowing through the house.
As they continue their tour through the house, they hear whispers in the wind. Listen closely.
Lots of wind blowing through here, guys.
Did you hear it too? Chris also heard something slam upstairs.
This place is freaky, bro.
I heard something else bang. It was too, distinctive. It sounded like something slammed. I feel so much better down here because the floor.
And this was perhaps the most audible noise captured by the guys.
Hey, what was that? Chris, what was that?
Right over here.
Something just fell.
Something fell. I moved that door, but.
Okay, I don't think it was the door. I just heard something go clink.
As they wander apart, Joe hears some more loud noise from the other room.
First, I'm gonna check through everything. Chris, you okay? I just heard something fall again. I don't know. That was weird, man.
The team is then not so subtly told to leave.
I welcome you.
Back upstairs, the guys think they hear someone enter the house.
I think somebody walked in the house. true.
While using a paranormal device, they hear another loud, distant bang.
What was that, man? That was a loud bang again.
They go to check out what it is, and this happens.
Dude, this is where we heard the noise. This door just moved and that. No, that's awesome. Dude, these doors, both of them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope not, but it could be.
Do you think this is just the wind?
Show me you're real.
It's moving. What the hell?
That's awesome. My camera's about to die. All right, so guys.
Although it could be, I feel like this is too on point to be anything but paranormal. It seems like whatever is here is responding to Chris and Joe's commands. This tells me they want to make their presence known. This intriguing unidentified flying object sighting was captured on a windy night in Spain in 2009. A full moon is looming overhead. Watch to the left of it.
Kind of funny. You see like a little shadow over there on the left side of the moon there. Look floating around there. You see that? I don't know. I really can't tell.
A strange light formation appears. At first, the lights are in disarray.
Wait a minute. Look at holy shit, look at that. Look at the shape. Oh my god. Whoa, that's cool. You see that? Yeah.
But then they form a triangle.
Front, they look in perfect shape. Oh, that is wow.
Many in the comments are astonished and are wondering if this is for real. What do you think? Like most cats, this one can snooze all day.
She's right here asleep, right? She's not even moving.
But unlike most cats, this one will wake from a deep sleep whenever the door to the basement is touched, even putting its paw out as if to greet whatever's on the other side. This time it's more curious than normal, more driven. The cat seems to pay extra attention to the doorknob in particular. It really wants in. Then the door opens.
What I don't understand is I can do this to any door. She won't care. Holy.
Despite being closed and latched, the door pops open, even assuming the cat did slide its paw under the door and somehow opened it. What is down there that has its interest, and why only this door? A woman calls into a show to talk about spiritual possession. She is in the middle of her story when suddenly something grabs hold of her mid-sentence and takes over.
Also,
Did anyone else hear a really deep voice say something at the end of that clip? Anyway, she regains her composure and manages to speak a few more sentences. She says that she has been cursed by somebody who is very powerful, but it is hard to understand her because she is clearly upset. The host is trying to get some more information when suddenly the spirit appears to take over once again.
who created you and why? Huh? To speak or to go to court? Yes, locked.
The poor woman's condition just seems to be getting worse and worse as the conversation carries on. Finally, the host sees that there is little reason to continue speaking with her and hangs up.
Also, when people... Bismillah, Bismillah.
What happened to her afterwards is anyone's guess. It's difficult to tell if this video is real without being able to see the caller's face. The full clip is about 7 minutes long, and most of it does not make much sense because of her panic. I guess it could be a fake call, or maybe the caller is on something. Otherwise, I think she could really be possessed. According to Steve, this area is infamous as the site in which a person who was taking people's lives during the 1950s hid the bodies, and he may have lived in this abandoned home nearby, hidden in the woods. Published by Steve Ronan in April of 2020. The crew quickly comes across some unsavory items. This is an arrangement of bird skulls. Later, they find another piece of animal anatomy. What type of animal is this spine from, and why is it here? I'm starting to wonder if Norman Bates lived here. One last creepy thing they come across are these little figurines. A skeleton and what looks to be Gollum. Is this actually the house of this 1950s maniac? Why were all these possessions left behind? And what is up with the bird skull trophies? I'd be staying far away from this house.
That's creepy. So just birds, huh? Bird skulls, or maybe mouse skulls?
No, I think it's like a rodent.
Yeah.
Like a family of rodents, but what them right here like this, I have no idea.
If you're planning on going ziplining soon, don't watch this video. Captured in Wales in the UK, this video was published to YouTube by Stephen Bromley in September of 2018. The clip reveals many adventurers preparing for their exhilarating ziplining trip, and the zipline does indeed look fun for a while. That is, until Bromley's GoPro captures him starting to slide backwards. Eventually, he gets stuck hundreds of feet above the ground. Bromley explains what happened in the comments, writing, "I was at the time 14 stone, and when I went over the cliff edge, a sudden gust of wind came up and slowed me quite a bit. My brother said it was the size of my head that caught the wind. LOL. Bromley also advises all concerned not to let this video put you off ziplining. He said it was a blast and the staff were very professional returning him to safety. Hospitals are incredibly haunted places. Posted to YouTube in September of 2019. HRJ Paranormal Adventures navigates this hospital, situated at the foothills of the South Pittsburgh Mountain. The 68,000 square foot hospital was founded in 1959, but the haunting may date back to well before it was built. Unlike Penhurst, there are no reports of mistreatment at this hospital during its operation, but there were reports by hospital employees of paranormal activity, such as inanimate objects moving of their own accord, disembodied voices, and dark shadowy figures, including a 7-foot-tall man on the 3rd floor, who is believed to be a former surgeon who practiced at the facility. He's not the only one haunting the 3rd floor. A toddler spirit and an elderly woman have both been observed there. 2 other spirits, a janitor and a female spirit, known as the Naughty Nurse, haunt the basement. This has drawn many paranormal investigators to the hospital since it closed in 1998. HRJ Paranormal Adventures manages to capture a few paranormal entities in this video. One is a ghostly reflection that appears twice at 3 minutes 53 seconds, and then again at 3 minutes 58 seconds.
All the researching all the people.
Follow the crew on their hour-long investigation of this haunted place, and you might just capture a few more spirit sightings and disembodied voices. When you visit an abandoned hospital, you don't expect this to happen. Redditor Bored Guy Online posted this scary video evidence that he captured in the ICU. Keep an eye at the end of the hall to the right. Something mysterious is going on here. Being that all hospitals are likely haunted, maybe these doors aren't malfunctioning after all. If that's the case though, who is opening and closing this ICU door? He can see us, but we can't see him. I think it's time to leave this abandoned hospital and stay far away. You wouldn't want anything following you home now. Terrence lives here, but I'm not going to reveal him. At least not yet. Take a look at his enclosure and give me your best guess as to what kind of pet Terrence is. There's a green structure for shelter and a piece of banana. So maybe Terrence is some kind of fruit-eating lizard, right? Well, there's no heat rock, so if a lizard was your guess, it was a good one, but no. Likewise, Terrence the tarantula has a nice ring to it, but the bandana is not spider food, so that's a no-go as well. Okay, I'll tell you. Terrence is the giant, hissing cockroach of your nightmares. This creepy pet spans across all 4 fingers, and its backside still hangs over the end. Someone please tell me this roach is as big as it gets, because I can't imagine a larger one, or why someone would actually own this as a pet. Could you ever see yourself getting attached to Terrence? Because Terrence will gladly attach itself to you. This quick clip, a group of kids are playing soccer when a strange and mysterious creature decides to crash their game. Watch closely as a black object approaches them from the right. The poor quality of this video makes it hard to tell exactly what this creature is. It's very small and the way it shuffles side to side does not look natural at all. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to make out a face or even any limbs. It could be a wild animal, but the way that the children and even the dog all run away in absolute horror has many people convinced that this creature could be paranormal or even extraterrestrial. Even when you slow down the video and zoom in on the creature, it's hard to tell what it could be. I personally have no idea what it is, and I definitely like to read your best guess in the comments below. Do you take this ghost bride to be your lawfully wedded wife? I don't. Published by Thiago Ferracao in April of 2022, this ghost hunter encountered a phantom bride that was forcibly married to her husband in this haunted church. This is what happened. As they first enter the church, an unseen force slams the door shut and moves a wooden bench with great force, and then the fun begins. The bride is first seen as they are attempting to communicate with her using a spirit box. Watch the door carefully in the background. A pale figure passes slowly. The pair don't notice it.
Qual era o seu nome?
Later, as they're told to leave, they see the figure face to face. Once they're standing outside the church, the figure is seen standing at the altar. As Thiago walks toward the church doors, they're slammed shut in his face. After watching this scary video, would you say I do? Let me know in the comments. A sound was heard outside, and this resident went to check it out. What he saw was terrifying. The resident is captured on camera out on his terrace, looking around with a flashlight. While scanning the area several times, something disconcerting shows up on one of the sweeps of the grounds. Watch the right-hand side of the screen. Did you see her? This resident sure did. Shared by YouTuber Random Videos 5, a supposed witch was captured on camera approaching the security guard in the street late at night. Let's see it unfold. As he nears the wailing sound, he starts reciting a prayer, and then he sees her.
Padre Todopoderoso, quítame la chaqueta.
The witch comes toward him, wailing. To me, she appears to walk very stiffly and has an uncanny narrow form. The security guard backs away as she continues to bellow. I think this is a real witch. I've never seen or heard anything like it before. And what I really want to know is if she is cursing him. And are we cursed too by proxy? We better say sorry to this witch before we're cursed next. Bell Tower Bat lives in a haunted hotel that's built upon a series of tunnels that are haunted as well. So she decides to go ghost hunting with the TikTok app and see what reality ripple shows her. The first thing she notices are a couple antique bottles that seem to have a ghost attached to them. It's an all-black aura that is far different from the psychedelic colors that are usually displayed. Now it's time to leave her room and see what else her ghost hunting app has to show her. She doesn't see anything for the rest of the video until she gets to the very last haunted hallway. A ghostly shadow figure looks at her down the hall and sends her the other way. The reality ripple is still on, so if this was a living person, it should be an orange or purple color. Instead, the shadow person is devoid of color, so either this video was edited, or else it's a real ghost sighting on TikTok. Restaurant workers from Sansom Park in Texas think they've caught an authentic ghost sighting on CCTV video. A dark paranormal mist that exits the passenger side and goes into the building. I would say that this was an insect crawling across the camera, but watch closely and at 2 minutes and 4 seconds you'll see a flicker of lines across the screen moments before the ghost appears. EMF interference like this could be an indication of something paranormal. They felt this place was haunted for a long time and are finally excited to have proof. Tell me if you believe them. In this ghost investing collaboration, members of the Holy Walkers, Urban Ghost Urban Explorations, and 539 Productions team up to check out some abandoned properties in the woods at night. They are close friends, and so it becomes a lighthearted exploration full of laughs, but they do miss two things. One of them happens during a passing moment of silence.
You can see a Joe in his native environment.
I don't know what that is, but I do know it sounds large and close by, and during this exact moment appears two green eyes that look like they could be leaves at first, except they aren't touching the tree next to it, and they aren't pine needles like the rest. Believe it or not, the same face appears behind a screen window exactly 5 minutes and 10 seconds later, so I don't think they necessarily found a ghost, but something was probably out there with them, and if they ever return, they might be unlucky enough to find it again, and next time it might do more than just watch. It's always unnerving when a complete stranger shows up on your doorstep, but even more so when it's someone acting like this guy. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Miss Doolittle Tex, the Redditor explains that this man showed up on her doorstep and just stood there, not ringing the doorbell. The video shows exactly that. He walks slowly and haphazardly to the door, carrying some plastic bags. Then he just stands there for a moment, appearing to be listening at her door, before turning around and heading back up the sidewalk. He isn't wearing a mask, and as the Redditor says, left as soon as her dogs started barking, but not for long. He is seen on another security camera, walking along some grass behind the houses. He simply strolls along the water and then disappears, but moments later is seen racing back, jumping fences along the way. Apparently someone had also trespassed on her neighbor's property the previous night. It's unclear what he did there, how long he stayed, or what or who he's fleeing from, but the Redditor didn't want to find out what his plans were. She called the authorities. This man doesn't appear to be in his right mind. Whatever this man's situation, most agree calling the authorities was the right thing to do. While investigating the purportedly haunted Loveland Castle in Ohio, YouTube team Bump in the Night Society experiences something fascinating. Lead investigator Sean is doing a remote essays session in the throne room while his team watches using a baby monitor. This is the message he is given.
Camera.
The team asks the spirits to do something.
Can you get to talk one real quick? Can you knock one of the cameras over, please?
Then shortly after this happens,
Oh! No, it knocked mine. It knocked the baby monitor.
Oh my gosh.
Got that on camera. Back to that. Dude, right? You good?
here it is again from inside the room.
Back with that. You alright? You good?
Was it just an unstable monitor, or did the spirits answer their request? Personally, I think the spirits were listening. This is too much of a coincidence to be anything but the paranormal. An Australian deep-sea fisher named Cavi brings aboard a sea creature he's never seen before. An unknown fish with a face too bizarre to put into words. It's bugging out as much as they are, eyes and tongue ready to burst. It's probably puffing up to scare them, and doesn't look like this all the time, or at least I hope not. Nobody has been able to figure this one out, so maybe you can explain to them what kind of fish this is. This one took me a few tries before I could see what they were talking about. Watch the shoulder lane on the left, and soon you'll see the shadowy outline of a mysterious figure.
Was that a person?
I have little doubt that this video is real and not edited, so the question becomes whether or not this was an actual spirit. Notice how the figure is devoid of all features, a strong sign of the paranormal, and maybe it's just because they are passing by at a high rate of speed, but I can almost see right through them. The entire lower half of their body is practically invisible. Published by Urban Ghost Hunters in February of 2020. This paranormal crew investigated a haunted 19th century church in rural Tennessee, with urban legends surrounding it, involving dark rituals from the 60s onward, and reports of shadow figures and disembodied voices there. It was ripe for investigation, and the crew wasn't disappointed. After placing a Bible on the candlelit railing in the church, something in there was angered by it. I guess this church lives up to its haunted reputation. You might want to avoid this forest because it's apparently home to brain-hungry zombies. Published by Adient in October of 2021. A man appears completely lost in the thick foliage of a forest at night. As he's walking, a terrifying noise is heard. He continues, periodically calling out to whatever awaits him in the dense trees.
Hello? Nang? Oi! Nang, sorry!
That's when he sees this. Something lying in the dirt crawls out, obviously to feast upon his brains. The man turns around and races out of the forest in fear. At one point, he is knocked to the ground. He looks around, whimpering in the darkness, but doesn't see anything around him. Did the zombie give up, or is he on the verge of an ambush? A Miami woman was fast asleep on her couch when an unusually creepy-looking woman decides to enter her home, captured on the homeowner's Canary Home security system. This stranger was filmed the entire time she rummaged through this house. Even more odd is how this woman hovers over the homeowner on the couch, watching her sleep. I originally thought this video was fake because the stranger looks like the possessed girl in your typical scary movie, but the incident is 100% real and most likely wouldn't be believed without this footage. This individual was never caught or identified. A weird human-like creature stands motionless when caught on camera in the forest. It's not a person wearing red makeup because the arms are exceptionally thin. It could be a special effects prop. The red figure never moves, so I have trouble believing this creature sighting is real. If I'm wrong, then this video shows why the woods of Indonesia are one of the scariest places in the world. Having this thing stare at you in the forest would be beyond creepy. Filmed in Canada, this footage has some wondering if this is real. Posted by TikToker Flamecatcher2. In short, it is very real but super rare. Popular Mechanics explains that they are produced by heat plumes stretching miles into the atmosphere and colliding. Only a few anomalies have been recorded prior to this eerie clip. In fact, over the last several years, there have been a number of sightings both in 2018 and 2019. As they become more prominent, scholarly papers investigate how they are formed. This is but one case of it being caught on video, and as some TikTokers thinking this is the most terrifying thing ever, Master Sloth Gaming asks, has anyone tried turning the world off and back on again? Now that's a valid question. Kenneth and OP run a YouTube channel together called Team Creed. The two brothers are having a private conversation when a vehicle quietly rolls up directly beside them, and the driver looks over.
I don't know what you're looking over here for. Oh, heck no, I can't have time for this. Dude, the guy is taking pictures. The guy is taking pictures? Why is he taking pictures of us? I don't know.
Eventually, the person gets out of their car and identifies themselves as a huge fan, which they certainly must be given they're able to spot Team Creed solely based on a nondescript gray van. At first, they try to tell him to politely move on, but when he insists on staying, Kenneth gets out of the car and tries to make some sense of the situation. Things get worse when the stranger mumbles out a bizarre proposition.
No, just give you some money and stay around for a couple, forever how long, you know?
To hang out with you?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I mean, you guys are what, homeless?
The stranger knows that Team Creed has been having some housing problems lately, and he seems to want to take advantage of them. The conversation takes a turn for the worst when Opie gets out and pins the creepy fan against a car to make it clear that he wants to be left alone. The fan finally relents, but listen to this part and tell me if he sounds merely disappointed or like he's already plotting revenge.
See you guys around, I guess.
This footage comes from Vietnam, where all sorts of strange creatures are rumored to still roam free through the wild and unconquered forests. This stuffed humanoid in particular has been deceased for quite some time, possibly for decades, and now looks discolored and slowly falling apart. It appears to be half man, half snake. Long blonde hair grows from its human-like head, which is furry all over yet also covered in straw blonde facial hair. Two rodent-like arms stick out from its fur-covered upper body. Its face looks like a cross between a man and an ape. The nose looks like it belongs to a primate, but the gray lifeless eyes and smirking mouth look like they could belong to a person. Its scaly lower half looks exactly like a snake's. Watching this thing in action must have been a terrible and shocking sight. How such a creature could come to be is unexplainable, yet here it is. Perhaps there are even more of them out in the wild. The Vancouver Paranormal Society investigates a house whose owner has been complaining of strange activity during late hours. They gather in the living room and decide to address the spirit outright. You can hear 2 taps after they try and get its attention.
I'm gonna ask you a series of questions.
They next explain the rules of communication and get no response.
Give me a knock for yes or 2 knocks for no.
That means it actually tapped twice to signify no when they said they were going to ask it a series of questions. Not only did it respond, but it somehow knew what it was going to be asked before they even said the question. As if that wasn't weird enough, as soon as they ask the spirit if it used to live here, they get a visual disturbance in front of the pillow that's in the woman's lap.
Did you used to live here?
Somehow, the team misses all of these signs and declares the house to be uninhabited by spirits. After watching these instances, however, I beg to differ. What would you do if you saw this happening in your home? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Raymond Powell. Raymond writes, "Not proof, but it definitely freaked me out. Looking for advice. A screwdriver sitting on the counter is moving on its own with no one and nothing near it to cause such behavior. Raymond runs over to the cupboard, opening it to see if there's anything under the counter that might trigger it. He turns up nothing. Picking up the screwdriver, he looks around his home. When he starts hearing random pounding coming from above, he gets his step stool to open the hatch above his attic. He calls out a greeting, but catches nothing up there on camera. While some in the comments were waiting for a jump scare, others, like Redditor Everything is Dumb 0624, were trying to find answers. You either got a ghost or a person living in your crawl space, he writes. I'm not sure which one would be worse. YouTuber Lomar Mendez was locked in this terrifying poltergeist pillar with his partner, and they were not alone. As they ascend the stairs, they hear an unexplained sound.
What did you hear?
It kind of sounded like a groan.
Really?
To me, it sounds like a wail. Then they hear a child.
I swear to I just heard a child.
A child?
Yeah. A kid. A kid just like, bah. I'm not even joking, like just now.
While I didn't hear the child, the sound could have been muted by the team's ascent. The echoing of the tower makes things difficult to distinguish, but I definitely heard this next sound.
Can you appear to us?
You heard that? Yeah.
I was like walking on one of these stairs.
Yeah.
But the creepiest part is yet to come. Listen closely.
Hello?
It's difficult to tell where the screams are coming from. Are they outside or within the tower? Nothing is clear, but in my opinion, there is definitely something unnerving about this place. And if they are indeed communing with the child ghost, then it sounds like he is in agony and needs their help. Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake. In what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated, an email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy. Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. The This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, while stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart."
Я сейчас, друзья, специально...
By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left a hole to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. Diane thinks she has caught a ghost on video crossing her living room around 3 a.m. The ghost is a woman with long hair whose back is turned. For months, Diane has been feeling something paranormal in her house, and if you look closely, you'll see her cat Noah wake up and look to where the ghost of a weird woman just walked by. There are no other paranormal videos on Diane's channel at all. The rest is 3 years of content about a niche hobby that has nothing to do with the spirit world, which makes me think it could be a real paranormal incident. With that said, I found another video that shows she roughly has the same hair length as the woman who says she was a ghost, so I'm on the fence with this one. Abnormal Alabama is all about discussing the weirdest and scariest things imaginable, and this is probably one of their most frightening videos. These creepy dolls are said to be possessed by something paranormal according to their owner, Kevin Kane, the man in the white shirt, and they aren't afraid to show it. When the host is busy talking about his own bizarre experiences with the haunted dolls, the creepy dolls provide the best paranormal evidence right in front of the camera.
They had all kinds of dolls that were haunted, were supposedly haunted. They had death masks. They actually had a the cap they would put.
Not only are the creepy dolls caught on tape moving, which is scary enough, but if you look closely, you'll see one doll moves its eyes first. Its eyelids briefly twitch before the doll moves by itself. I also wanted to point out as a counterpoint that the dolls could be falling over because of how they were positioned. At 20 seconds, Kevin leans back and the other guest moves his laptop. So maybe they bumped the table and accidentally made it look like the dolls were haunted and moving on their own. Or maybe not. None other than Napoleon Bonaparte once lived in this mysterious abandoned mansion. Let's take a look at what he left behind. YouTuber Exploring with Josh leads the way through this dilapidated chateau.
You know, normally maybe because I'm in France, I wouldn't want to come to this place because it's decayed. It might not be that good compared to everything else that's here. But man, Napoleon stayed here. That's all that matters. That's why. I mean, this is...
I wonder if the little corporal slept in that bed. Josh also comes across this mysterious photograph.
Look at this kid right here. Knickknacks. I think there was, maybe at one point, could have been a flower right there, but don't know.
The history of this place is multi-layered.
I mean, this place has been inherited like multiple times through different owners and generations that who knows who was the last owner to actually stay here. But assuming by looking at the beds, they had children. Multiple.
In this room, the ceiling collapsed, making things a whole lot messier.
Jeez. I have pictures of what this was without this collapse, and we're gonna slip them in here throughout this video so I can show you what it was even 4 years ago from now.
As one of Josh's friends tries to get some deeper footage, an unwelcome creature makes an appearance.
You're like Pooh Bear who's stuck in the tree for honey. Oh, there was a bat that just touched your butt, bro.
They then manage to open the door to the safe.
What is that? Did they open up the door? Yo! Yo! Dude, yes! Okay, we're not stuck in this safe.
Guys, we did not destruct any property in the making.
Although they didn't find anything valuable inside, I think that perhaps there were valuables in here at one point, but they were taken.
I bet you they did that to see if there's like hidden treasure that was behind it. So they did that just in case. Most likely that's what it was.
Well, there's old paintings there, so these probably were really rare.
Could have been Da Vinci's paintings, dude, for all you know. Seriously.
Are you getting Napoleon vibes from this place? I sure am, and his energy doesn't seem so small. This video is also posted on my Chills Narrator subreddit by a user named Bbors. Whenever they find themselves at this particular highway intersection, their Lexus starts beeping out of control.
Okay, this intersection, it always happens here.
These innovative car sensors are designed to alert the driver when someone is in front of the car. No one is anywhere near them, but here you see both of the yellow arrows are lit, meaning it detects someone straight ahead. Seconds later, you can see the right arrow is on, which means that someone is now moving to the right. I just wanted to stress that this never happens at any other intersections, only this one. And according to Bbors, this event has occurred 4 times in the past 2 years alone. With this evidence in mind, this intersection could definitely be the haunting ground of someone who didn't make it across the road in one piece. Okay, so there's this tech channel from Singapore called Computer Guys, and one of their videos is beyond creepy. Weird things are continuously caught on tape in one of the most unlikely places to ever become haunted, a bare, nondescript server room. No one is seen on 2 different security cams, and yet the door opens by itself. A ghost did it, they later say. I guess they were having technical problems shortly afterwards, because IT workers come into the room to run some programs and check wires. No sooner do they leave does the paranormal activity return. As the minutes pass, the laptop flips back open right before an IT worker walks in to check some things. Everything looks fine, nothing weird, and then things get scary in a paranormal way. A sighting of a ghost on the floor is caught on camera, which is then knocked over. Some paranormal investigators will tell you that electricity attracts the supernatural, so it makes sense that a ghost would haunt a high voltage server room if that were true. With that said, the whispering at the end does seem a little over the top to be real, and makes me wonder if this scary ghost sighting video is legitimate. This Redditor was a skeptic at first, but when he captured this video, he was transformed. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Notorious Meseros writes, I heard noises in the garage. I was Snapchatting my fiance who was at work about it. My fiance said it's a ghost, and I was an on the fence believer until this. The footage shows a garage full of stuff. Just as the Redditor is saying he's not sure if he believes in ghosts, something large and heavy falls from a shelf. Some in the comments point out that the object rotates curiously first.
Ghosts. I'm not sure if I even believe anymore, but... Yo, okay.
Before falling, others think a rodent could have knocked it over, or some other critter, and still others think that this dude needs to clean his garage. Is that what the ghost is rudely suggesting here? I guess that's still better than dealing with a poltergeist. This alien-like creature perplexed everyone when the footage was released to the public sometime in 2008. Shell Company says they caught it on video hanging around one of their oil platforms about 200 miles from Houston, Texas. It was eventually identified as a long-legged sea creature called the Magna Pinna squid. But even to this day, many videos still insist that this is evidence of alien life. As such, I just wanted to include this squid on the list to put the rumor to rest. A closer look before dipping your toes in the water next time. This scary video, published by YouTuber Cincy, shows an unknown creature making its way toward the water's edge. At first, you can't tell what it is at all. It looks like a blob. Then, as it makes its way through the water, its movements look almost human. That is, until you see its face. What is that? The thing has two large tusks amidst a set of small sharp teeth, red eyes, an angry brow, and large ears. Frankly, it looks like a monster. It's not any known animal that I'm aware of. To me, it could be a creature straight out of a nightmare. I couldn't find any information about where this video was filmed or what this might be. So if you have an inside track to this footage, please share it in the comment. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.